All right, and on tonight's episode, we are going to start what should be part one of two parts. Plus, I know at some point Dan wants to throw some custode guy into it, but part one of two parts of going through the Primarchs for the various legions for Horus Heresy. Tonight we're going to start with the Loyalists for no better reason than that's the book I currently have in front of me, and I get to make some decisions here since I do the editing. So here's how we're thinking we're going to break this down. We are going to go through them in order because that seems to make the most sense. Again, just talking about the Loyalists. We're going to do a very brief overview of discussing the Legion a little bit, just so people can remember sort of some highlights. Maybe, what we feel their kind of main facet is. What I guess maybe their strengths is something to talk about them so that way we have some context for the Primarch. We're going to go through the Primarch, and then we're going to have a discussion of what we think about them, how we think they work, how they both fit the Legion or just on their own, good, bad, and the ugly of all that. In a later video, once we have all this put together, then we're going to essentially rank them like we did the other thing for the legions themselves. So we will get to that. And this is, by the time this discussion is done, it'll give you some idea of how we would look at them. Now, before we get started, or as we get started, does anyone have any in particular that they want to talk about? So we can, because since there's three of us, we usually kind of cycle through. Everyone's going to talk about three because there's nine of them. Does anyone have favorites that they want to make sure they're the
So,
one who talks about?
ironically, I don't mind taking Ferrus Manus because there is a thing about him that I absolutely enjoy, and there's a
Okay.
huge irony with him. So I will absolutely take him if no one minds.
No, that doesn't matter to me. Steve, do you have any particulars that you want to be discussing?
I guess maybe Vulcan because I'm working on salamanders. Although to be honest, I'm kind of behind on my lore for him.
Oh, I'll be honest. I'm super behind on the lore for most of this. I'm hoping. So usually, what I do, for anyone who doesn't know, I do my normal job. I help my wife on the weekends. Her season essentially has ended. That means now I have time. The last time it ended, I painted, I don't know, 3,000 points for Star Wars Legion, including a few other games. This one, I think I'm just going to dive through the book. So instead of my entire time being taken up, I have tons of free time, especially as we approach the end of the year. So no, at this moment, I'm going to be avoiding a bit of the lore just because I don't want to be incorrect on that. As I learn more of it, I would or get more comfortable with it again. I'd love to go back through and discuss more of it.
No, I
But
mean you could talk about Vulcan. Vulcan, Steve, you don't have to really talk about the lore. It's more of just the rules about him.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll take Vulcan. He's my boy.
okay, all right.
You
Since it
better take the
doesn't,
Dark Angels.
yeah, I figured I would start with them. They're of this side, the Legion I'm working on. So I figured I would start with this, but I wanted to get that out there in case anyone had any particulars. I don't want to tell someone to talk about one and then the one after it is the one they really wanted to talk about. So since those seem to be the only ones we have particular groups on and they kind of fall nicely outside of the sets of three, we'll get started here then. All right, so what we also want to do briefly is just to discuss the distinction that Primarchs have from other models in the game, or essentially what their general special rules are. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but in the first edition, obviously they had special things, but was it more on them, or did they have a unit subtype like this?
No, they did not. This was it was literally Primarchs got what they got in their stat sheet. Primarch,
Yeah,
Okay,
this was a
so
new
so Primarch was a special rule that was just a lot of other special rules under one umbrella term.
okay,
It was
so it's very
like
much
it's
same thing.
infantry. By the way, he's also a Primarch, which entails, by the way, blah 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 blah. Precision
Okay,
strike, shots, blah, and this and that, these, those. It will not die, all that fun stuff.
okay. So in a lot of ways, then that hasn't changed because that's really what this is that you when you are listed as a Primarch, you have a list of special rules. So we'll just briefly go over these. Um, First of all, when you're a Primarch, you're of course an independent character, eternal warrior, so you don't care about instant death or anything like that. You're fearless. You have a will not die 5 up. You're bulky 4, so you count as 4 guys trying to get into transports, and you are relentless, which will matter at some point for some of these models. In addition, you always count as character models. So Primarchs are always characters. They're independent characters, and they always count as a character for any rules that talk about characters. Um, there's a couple other things, but one of the other very big things about Primarchs is they're not affected by any special rules that would negatively modify their characteristics other than wounds. They can obviously take wounds, but they take no negatives to any other characteristic. And they always do their snapshots at normal ballistic skill. These are the biggest models in the game, not necessarily literal physical wise, but like stature of a model wise. So yeah, they don't care about their stats being reduced. They don't care about you affecting their ballistic skill in any way. When they inflict a hit, whether it's shooting or close combat, the controlling players, whoever has the Primarch, always gets to allocate the wounds. You should do them as a separate wound pool is essentially what it says. And if you include a model, then one of those, Primarch model, then one of them has to be the Warlord. Which, when we talk about this, you're gonna notice all the Warlord traits say, "Hey, if they're the Warlord." The only reason they say if they're the Warlord is because if you had more than one, if you were playing a big enough thing or anything like that. But if you have a Primarch, it's the one of them has to be the Warlord. So that's what makes you a Primarch. So I will start with the Lion. So this is for the Dark Angels. As a very brief, 30 seconds or less overview of them, which we do have full videos on if you want to watch any of those or listen to any of those. The Dark Angels follow the sort of idea of, jack of all trades, but master of none, maybe to an extent. They have the most specialized things. When you compare the normal rights of war, they essentially have an analog of some fashion to all of those. Their Legion trait is the fact that you have a variety of Legion traits, depending on which unit, who wants to take what. So they kind of fit that malleability. I see a lot of their strength in the malleability and also through some of their special units and the fact that they can kind of come at it with what they need. They don't flat out beat other people in what they're specialized in, but they don't have the same sort of weaknesses overall, I would say. So we will get into the Lion here. All right, so taking a look at the Lion then. So they do differ a little bit in points. So he has 460 points. Stat wise, they do differ slightly as well. Some of the stats are going to be very, very similar. And as we go along, we'll kind of see that, the leadership 10, the 2-up save, those sort of stats are kind of across the board. He's move 8, weapon skill 8, ballistic skill 6. He has a strength of 7, which is a bit better than some of the others. Toughness 6, which is a little lower than I think some of the others. 6 wounds, I think. Are any of them not 6 wounds? I think they're all 6 wounds, aren't they?
I think Mortarion is 7?
Mortarion might be not. Okay. I know that's pretty baseline on that part. Initiative 7, 7 attacks is leadership 10 and 2-up save, of course. So, war gear wise, he has the Leonin panoply, the Lion sword, the Fusel Arcaneus, I'm going to say, stasis grenades and frag grenades. He is, of course, a Primarch. All of them are going to have the Legion Astartes rule for the Legion that they are. That, of course, makes sense. They are Master of the Legion, Adamantium Will for him, 3-up. He has the Lion's Collar, the Point of the Blade. He's, of course, a Loyalist. And he has his own Warlord trait. All of them are going to have beset or bespoke Warlord traits. So one special rule begins with is, unlike some of the others, when you look at the fact these Legion Astartes, Dark Angels, they put a little asterisk there. The asterisk is, remember, for these guys, you pick a hexagrammaton subtype for your unit, and that tells you the special rule they get. He does not pick one at the start of the battle. Instead, at the start of the controlling player's turn, one of them becomes selected for him. He gains that subtype until the start of your next turn, when he can choose another one. So he has all 6, but as normal with a unit, because there is ways to mix, you have to choose which one is active. So for him, you choose specifically on him, and then if he's in a unit, that unit, if say they're Dreadwing, and for him you picked Ravenwing for some reason, you'd have to choose then at the moment which one the unit is counting as. And he does have a sword option. He's one of the few with an option. He can swap out his sword, and we'll talk to about sword when we get there. So his Warlord trait. If he's chosen as the army's Warlord, he has Sire of the Dark Angel. So what this says is, all models that are Dark Angels in the same rule as Lionel Johnson gain the Crusader special rule. Crusader is 2 dice on running someone down.
Checking
Choose
the
the highest.
cheat sheet. because we need to see. It's a special rule,
It's
and
one of the
it's
ones that doesn't
under
come up
C.
much.
I just needed to rhyme that. So
You didn't need to.
Crusader, sir, is a unit to get. So as long as you have one model, roll an extra dice when making a sweep in advance, and
Yeah.
discard the lowest dice. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's what I thought it was. Just wanted to be correct on that. And any for any model that's Dark Angels that can draw a line of sight to him gets +1 to their leadership, max of 10. You also get an extra reaction in the opposing player's shooting phase as long as he's still there. Now he's the first one, so it's always a little tough when we talk about the first one to make the large comparisons because they'll have great variety. Crusader, obviously, he's leading your army towards a very particular thing they want to do, and the plus of leadership is nice. Nothing to write home about, but it is good overall, especially if you want an assault army. And that's what he's good at. We're going to get into that. Let's get through a few rules, and then we'll see what else we think. So, for the point of the blade, this is one of his rules. At declaring a charge for him and any unit he's with, during a controlling player may choose not to roll charge dice, and instead gets to move 8 inches. For him and any unit he's joined, ignoring difficult and dangerous terrain, and getting no bonus to your movement characteristic or war gear. So, if you're 8 inches or less for your charge, and he's in the unit, or just for him solo, you can just make the charge. Difficult, dangerous terrain doesn't matter your war gear, doesn't matter anything like that. You just make an 8-inch charge. So, a 7-inch charge is essentially 50-50. So, covering a little bit more than 50-50, which is nice because we've all had cases where you need like a 4 or 5-inch charge and you double one it, and there's no rerolls in this game, no nothing, you're screwed. It hasn't happened to me in this game yet, but I know it will.
Now, silly question.
Yes,
How
I know
does
what the
this...
question will be asked.
It's going to be Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
Says he doesn't ignore all penalties, just difficult and dangerous.
I would
So I
say
assume Alpha Legion still causes problems?
off of this, I would agree because it says what he ignores and no bonuses to the distance. It doesn't say no other penalty. So I would say the Alpha Legion one still works. And there's probably a few others out there that could still work, but the base game ones don't. But yes, I would say the Alpha Legion works, but I would, you have an automatic 6-inch charge in that case. But yeah,
Yep.
I don't see it being overruled.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yep,
Unless
I
they
agree.
FAQ it at some point, of course. All of this is sort of not evergreen. They could absolutely put an FAQ out and say that he ignores everything. The line's collar. So as he gets hurt, he gets angrier. When he has 4 wounds or less, he gains an extra attack. And when he's to 2 wounds or less, he gets +2 attacks. So when he's almost been defeated, he's on 9 attacks.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a delicate balance because you don't necessarily want him horribly injured, but if you take a couple of wounds, more and more attacks is very, very good. De Leon in Panoply, he's a 2-up armor save, 4-up invul, and his first failed invulnerable save each player turn can be rerolled. And it's each player turn, so you get it on both players, which is great. That's a good amount of survivability. Next, we get into his weapons. Any thoughts on the rules before we start talking about his weapons? But obviously, we could talk about it all together.
He's a beat stick. I like the reroll invul. That is
Yes.
a kind of neat, because you'll maybe get 2 or 3 wounds on the Primarch if you're facing him, unless you're facing another Primarch, but still you get like 2 to 3 wounds. So re-rolling that 4-up, or at least 1 dice, with the 4-up is really, really nice.
It's a nice alternate to just giving him more toughness, which I like. I like how there's that variation there in themes of durability.
Yeah, all of these guys have to be big and tough and strong, so they obviously can't vary them too wildly on base stats. So anything like this you can do that adds that extra dimension, I think is great. Let's talk about some weapons, and then we'll have an overall discussion. So his Fusil Actinius, I believe that's what I said the first time. It's a plasma weapon. Surprise, surprise, Dark Angel with plasma. It does mention that it will get the +1 to hit from the Stormwing unit subtype if he's chosen Stormwing. And that's important to mention because normally your plasma weapons don't get that. 18-inch range, strength 7, AP 3, assault 2. It's twin linked, blind, and it has a rending 3-up.
That's all amazing.
Yes, Yeah, it's already AP3, so it's good. On a 3-up, you are essentially on 2, and Primarchs can call all their shots. So you can take down or potentially take down your concern. What you don't want to either see in that unit or you don't want there to be in there. Say the apothecary, because you need the rest of your guys to chew through them. His next big thing is that he gets a choice of weapon. Now, both of these, if he's in Deathwing, get +1 because they are both swords. So he has the Lion Sword. For that, it's Strength User AP1. It's melee. Armor Bane in melee. Couldn't imagine how it wouldn't be. Flesh Bane, so he's going to wound you on 2s. Master Crafted, so he's getting rerolls on his weapon skill 8. It is instant death and two-handed. His other weapon, the Wolf's Bane that he could take, is a power weapon for all effects. It's +2 strength, so that's going to put him at strength 9, AP3. It's melee two-handed, has shred, so you're re-rolling the wounds. Breaching 4-up, reaping blow 2, so you have a chance of getting a couple extra attacks. Mastercrafted and fearsome ruin. So fearsome ruin. There's the controlling player of any unit which suffers more 1 casualties from this weapon makes a morale check during the assault phase. And makes a morale check. So you win the combat. They roll an extra d6 and keep the 2 highest dice to determine the result of that morale check. So roll 3 dice, take the 2 worst for you. So if you kill someone, and I have to assume you will, and you win the combat and they're still alive, they're rolling worse. Very last thing, we'll go through this very briefly because this is, I think, much less. Maybe it's cool. He has stasis grenades. So once per battle, Lionel Johnson's controlling player may choose to use stasis grenades when a charge is declared for him and any unit he's joined. If the charge is successful, then the enemy unit or units must take an initiative test using the majority initiative value. If the initiative test is passed, there's no further effect. If it's failed, then all enemy models in the unit must reduce their initiative by -1 for the duration of the assault. So, if you're going to charge someone once per game and you've made it, you can choose to use your grenades. They make an initiative test. If they pass, it doesn't matter. If they fail, -1 to their initiative. That I care about the absolute least. Cool. He's got that. I think before we do maybe a more thorough discussion of him, it bears, which sword do you like? I know which one I think is better in every single way, always. Well, almost always.
Well, almost always. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, but you got to go for what you're probably going to need.
True,
more
exactly. No, it's gonna be the instant death sword. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's instant death.
Yeah, the Wolfblade looks like a lot of fun. Or like that AP1 guaranteed is really nice. And,
I mean, I'll put it this way: like if you're touching 2 people with your base, right, and he's down to 2 wounds, maybe just use the wolf blade and
no, you choose a sword. You do not. You exchange.
Oh,
you have
got
one sword or the other. Yes, yeah. You're not fighting with both swords.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's all related to like when during the heresy or pre-heresy this is essentially for the weapon.
Nah, it's never mind. I take that back. Then there's a clear winner.
Yeah,
what's funny
say it
is
like that, but
so quick maths, 25, 36, 11, 36. There's a 1 in 3 chance the Lion Sword does not wound a Dreadnought, roughly, because of the Flesh Bane.
Yeah.
Whereas the Wolf Blade is wounding it on 2s with rerolls.
Well, wait a minute. Remind me, maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm on the right page in my other book that I have sitting here as well. You get to reroll to succeed on Dreadnoughts with Armor Bane?
Oh, God, what happens then? That is true.
It should be a cancel. Usually they do a cancel.
Yeah,
That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Okay. So that does make some sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, the Lion Sword. Lion Sword, hands down.
Yeah. The fact that
I forgot about that.
You're already strength 7. Now, what I will say, the one thing is like I could maybe see an argument against things that don't care about instant death. So like maybe Primarch. I still don't know if I want to make that decision, but at least maybe you're wounding easier. But then you still need the 4-ups to actually make it go to their invul save. So I feel the Lion Sword just it feels a lot better when you're already strength 7 I'm not worried about getting to 9 so much unless he's trying to carve open a giant heavy vehicle. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not what I want him to do anyway.
Yep.
Basically, demons, you might want the Wolfblade. Like the big demons, like Kabanda, right? Although, no,
Yeah.
you still have the Fleshbane. Never
Yeah, you
mind.
still have Fleshbane.
I'm
Why
Yeah.
would
trying
you
to,
ever?
yeah, I'm trying to find the use case. Ugh.
As I'm building Kabanda right now. No, no, you don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the wolf's bane isn't bad. It is a good weapon, but I don't, again, there's
I
going to be
don't see
some
the
outside
niche. I
case.
guess Reaping
No.
Blow for just the volume of attacks. That's it.
Yeah. You have shred, so you have ability to reroll as well on that. Like it is a very good weapon, but I don't see the obvious case of where it's better, and if it's not obvious, then it's not a good decision.
Just horde clearance, that's all.
Yeah, but
Just hope they don't have Toughness 5, because Toughness 5 is going to suck.
yeah, I guess it's the fearsome rune. Yeah, you go in rune, you go into like a big squad. You can kill a few of the guys, but you're never going to kill them all because there's too many. Well, you're probably going to fail your morale, and I'm initiative 7, and you're not. So if you're really worried about hordes, I'll put it this way: with the Wolf's Blade, he can absolutely just go in solo squads if you wanted big squads. Where the other weapon, it might just be a little bit tougher because you will kill a bunch of guys, but if there's a lot of them, you're going to take a while to get through them. It's more likely that the Wolf's Blade will take out a big unit because they're probably going to fail their morale, even if you don't end up killing enough of them. But outside of that, no. Um, do we have any particular thoughts on him? It's always a little bit tough when he's the first one, but thoughts on how he seems to maybe either fit with his legion, or just thoughts on his overall playability, I guess.
No, he's just a beat stick all
He,
through and
he
through.
is a beast in the shape of a man.
Yeah.
That's very true. I know I don't have it in front of me, but I know you can look at. I've seen the thing before with their stats ranked. He is one of the more killy Primarchs overall. Not necessarily the most, but when you look at his stats, he tends to be on the higher end for those stats on all of them. So no, I mean he's honestly just exceptionally good. I have not worked on him yet. He will be the last thing I work on once the rest of the army is done someday. Who knows when that'll be.
That's
All
such
right.
a sad way to put that.
No, well, but there's always more things. You
Exactly.
get a bunch of stuff, and then you look at something else. You're like, yeah, I guess I could add that
Yeah,
in.
I guess I could do that. Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, at least now I can start throwing some of them at my death guard instead, and that's the plan. All right. I'm gonna
I
make an assumption, Dan, that you want to talk about the Primarch to
Very.
the army that you allegedly had at one
Oh,
point.
shut the fuck.
I
That's gonna
mean,
be
he
the.
was
That's gonna be the
posing with an
meme.
army just
He
on
was,
Saturday.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, these are totally my white scars. I'm like,
Talk about White Scars. All right, so White Scars. Very quick recap. These are the Zoomy Fast Legion. Their advanced reaction was basically get away as quickly as possible. These are the bikes. They move quicker. They're all about speed. That's kind of what it boils down to essentially. Also, one of the hardest legions to start because you want bikes and they're expensive. But this is basically your go fast legion. All right, so let's talk about Jagatai Khan. Jagatai Khan is 440 points. He has two profiles. So I'll talk about the first profile and about the second profile. It's just very minor differences between the two. The first profile, he's 9-inch move, weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 6, strength 6, toughness 6, wound 6. He's initiative 8, so he's a quick boy. 6 attacks, leadership 10 with a 2-up save. If he's mounted on his bike, his move increases to 18. His wounds increase to 7, and I think it's the only difference.
yeah. It's the
yep.
only differences.
Yeah. Besides the bike granting also some special rules, but and by the way, it's only 25 points to put him on a bike, which is hilariously low. So he's got a couple war gears. He's got a special pistol, a special sword, I think another special thing, and frag grenades, whatever. Special rules. He's got hit and run natively, which is very nice, especially if you want to put him with bike squads or jet bikes. He's got Crusader, very much like Lionel. He's got Pathfinder, move through cover. So he ignores basically the movement penalties, but he can also move through cover. Lightning from Blue Skies is a special rule, and he's a warlord. So let's talk about his warlord trait first. He's the sire of the White Scars. Duh. Oh, by the way, if you take the bike, he changes to anti-grav. I should point out, by the way, instead of unique, just unique. Yeah. So, Sire of the White Scars, all infantry and cavalry models with the Legion of Stardust White Scar special rule in the same army as Jagatai Khan, including Jagatai Khan, gain Furious Charge 1 special rule on any turn in which they have moved. Oh, just they moved. Interesting. In addition, an army with Jagatai Khan makes an initial reaction in the movement phase. Okay. It's
Okay,
Furious
+1
Charge is
strength
really
on the
good.
charge. That's
Is that
awesome.
what's that? +1 strength, right? Well, it's
Yes.
plus X essentially. Oh, okay. It's yeah. That's good. I
No,
like
that's exceptionally good. Because remember, it's when you move. That's what you do.
that. Period. I think you have to get the charge off though, right? You don't get
Don't
you
forget
get
though, he also
charged.
got hit and run, so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fall out of combat."
Very
Move
true.
sideways an inch, charge 2 inches, bam, right back in combat with bonus
Very
strength.
true.
Well,
Very
so
true.
so Dan, to your point, if you carefully read it, okay, they're in his army, gain Furious Charge 1 special rule in any turn in which they have moved. That's all the rule says. So, yeah, if I did a reaction on your turn, I have moved, and then you charge me, I would have Furious Charge.
Wait, but I thought Furious Charge
It
only
wouldn't
happens when you.
activate though. You
Yeah,
have
it
to be
wouldn't
charging
activate.
to get it.
Oh, okay.
But
Furious
it would have
Charge,
the
you have to have
rule.
charge. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, so
That's fine.
it's
Yeah.
good still. It's still good. Still good. Yeah, no, it's nice.
With your amount of move, you're not going to have.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be having issues with your charges if you really want them.
All right. So the Wildfire Panoply is his armor. Or Panoply. Yeah, I was right. Wildfire Panoply is his armor. It is a 2-up armor, 4-up invulnerable save during the shooting phase, and a 3-up invulnerable during both the movement phase and assault phase. So very interessante that he's our first Primarch so far that has a 3-up invulnerable in close combat and also the movement phase. I'm not sure why. I guess in case someone reacts to you and shoots you in the movement phase.
Yep. So remember, Zone Mortalis, their movement phase reaction is snapshots instead of counter moving.
That's right. That's right.
And if he's in anti-grav or you somehow grant him the deep strike rule through shenanigans, there is interceptor fire.
Okay, makes sense. So 3-up invulnerable. That's hefty. That's a very good thing. Lightning from Blue Skies. This is a special rule of his. When held in reserve, do not roll for Jagatai Khan or any unit he is considered to be part of while in reserve. Instead, at the beginning of any controlling player's turn, except the first, obviously, Jagatai Khan and any unit he has joined may be brought into the reserve without making a reserve roll. If Jagatai Khan is part of a flanking assault, then this rule applies to all units that are part of the flanking assault, but does not apply to a deep strike assault, drop assault, or subterranean assault. That includes Jagatai Khan. So essentially, yeah. Jesus, could you imagine that shit? Oh my God. So basically you get to choose when you come on the board, and if you're in flanking assault, you get to choose when you're flanking assault. So
yes. Well, that makes sense. I mean, he's literally leading them on his
exactly.
bike, theoretically pulling them all in.
So Storm's Voice is a pistol. It's 12 inches, strength 6, AP 4, 2 shots. Not bad. Rending 5-up, deflagrate, concussive 1, mastercrafted.
You don't care about his pistol.
Yeah. I mean, it is concussive. Hold on, pause. I have seen people fail concussive, and it does. I'm telling you, man, it sucks when you fail concussive. It's people. Most people are like, "Oh, I'm on leadership 9, leadership 8."
But here's the thing.
Shit?
Yeah, and you could also say, "Hey, I'm leadership 10, and I took nothing. Oh, and I rolled a 12." Like, there's always a way to look at when something bad shouldn't happen. And it does. That's what people remember. What I notice about this weapon is the AP doesn't get through your armor naturally unless you get to the rending, and it's 2 shots. Like, yeah, you get to call your shots. I don't care about the concussive. It's nice, but I'm not as concerned.
It's nice. It's not. I'm not playing with it, but it's nice. It's nice. It's nice. The White Tiger Dao is his melee weapon. It's strength +1, so strength 7, or strength 8 if he charges. AP 2, Duelist Edge 1, so he's in the challenge. He becomes initiative 9. Furious Charge 2. Oh wait, god damn it. Does that stack with Furious Charge 1?
Rules don't stack unless it says explicitly that they do.
So then he becomes...
I don't know if this is the one that does.
Okay, so for now, I'm going to say no. But
Well, I talk about the
oh,
rest. I will
yeah,
look it up.
Fierce Charge 2, Murderous Strike 5 up, Mastercrafted. So it's a nice blade. It's a very nice
Strength
blade.
7 ain't bad.
Strength 7 ain't bad. Could be Strength 8, 9 on the charge, or Strength 10 if Fury's Charge stacks for some odd reason. And Murderous Strike 5 up. So he will, in his AP 2, so he will carve through whatever he hits
If
with
he's in
6
a
attacks.
challenge, he's initiative 9.
Yeah, Initiative 9, which is absolutely insane.
Furious Charge does not say that
Okay.
it stacks.
Okay. All right, so we're at Strength 9, which is not bad. Oh, sorry, Strength 8. Or sorry, yeah, 9. Strength 9. Oh, wait, I can't do math. Jesus Christ.
No, you can't.
He's no
It'd be
Strength 9.
9.
I was right. Yeah, it is 9. Going
Yes.
back to 9.
Yeah,
So
when he
Strength
charges.
9 on the charge, but then Strength 7 with Murder Strike 5 up, 6 attacks, Initiative 9. He's just not a brawler, but I would say he's still a good, his job is he gets in, cuts, and leaves.
Yeah,
Now,
he hits you first. That's his big thing.
yeah.
It's not that he would beat all the other Primarchs. It's that he gets the swing before them, so he has a potential chance of taking them down, especially if there's been some wounds done already.
Exactly. He's almost like an assassin, if you will. We got to talk about his bike, of course, because he can come with a bike. The bike has Hammer of Wrath 2, Fire and Protocols 3. You'll see why in a second. Because it has 2 Mastercrafted heavy bolters on it. Okay. It's anti-grav. And of course it has all the avoid the bike rules. You'll fall back 3d6 instead of 2d6. You can include include Jesus. You can join models with the cavalry unit subtype. And yeah, any rules that the cavalry are considered to affect Jugatai Khan as unit type. Yeah. So it's just he essentially can join cavalry and it doesn't get rid of cavalry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 2 heavy. Listen, it's an 18-inch jet bike with heavy bolters in it. Who gives a damn? It's an 18-inch jet bike. That's what you give him. For 25 points, he moves double the move, which is
Well, the big thing on that isn't necessarily the extra move, which is nice, and it does already account. The 18-inch move already accounts for their bonuses, so the bonuses are already in there for this. For both their moves, I should say. The big thing is what do you want him going with?
Golden Kashyyyk.
Golden
Yeah.
Kashyyyk.
Golden Kashyyyk.
Well, so but if you're doing that, then they are the Golden Kashyyyk. Yeah, so they're on a jet bike, so you put them on the bike. Then that's your option. If you want him with a different unit, then maybe he doesn't come off. The decision of the bike or not, I think, really depends on what do you want him with.
Well, it also depends on what the hell Forge World does, because right now Khan does not have a jet bike model. So that answers the question for like 99% of the people, unless you have a 3D printer somewhere.
Yeah,
And that's
that
not-
or if you happen just to buy a bike and you can do a cool conversion.
Well, he's yeah,
I've seen him.
kinda-
Yes,
Yeah, he is.
I'm
big.
not saying it would be easy, but there's people who are a lot better at it than I am because I'm terrible at converting.
Oh, that's funny. The fluff blurb. It's like, this is technically classified as a ultralight fighter craft instead of a jet bike because of
Well,
its
to be fair,
size.
To be fair, he has also ridden people could correct me in the comments, but I'm very certain he has also ridden on the hood of a Thunderhawk, and he has also ridden on top of a Razorback. Back after the Heresy has been done.
I think the Razorback became a Land Raider, but yes. Like,
Okay.
it was a Razorback, then it was a Land Raider.
Point
later
is,
telling. But yeah,
point is, the man rides what he damn well wants to ride.
you should have a special rule that says he could get into a Rhino without taking up any transport capacity
Oh,
because
that
he's
would be
on
hilarious.
top.
On top, that would be great. I would laugh at that.
I mean, I think what it really boils down to, he is good. He's a little bit lower than, say, the Lion in certain stats, but the big thing is his initiative. He's going before, essentially, anyone.
He goes before Fulgrim as long as Fulgrim does not get the charge.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yeah. So if he can get the job done, and it doesn't have to necessarily be Primarch to Primarch, but when your initiative is starting to get to like 8s and 9s, currently in the game, there's nothing else that we're worried about you going against. But when you get in those sort of numbers, being able to go first could make the difference if you can finish them off. I don't think he necessarily kills someone outright, like from full. I don't think when we're talking about like a Primarch, someone big. But if they're injured, I think he absolutely can. or whatever else he decides to go and fight until we see demons and we see if any of them are nutty.
Well, Cabanda's nutty.
Well, and that's fine. But, but how many points is he? Isn't he like 600 something?
Oh, God, I literally, funny fact, I closed the PDF like 10 minutes ago because I no longer need it. Literally, I was like,
for shame.
I'm pretty sure he's more than Primarch, if memory serves. I don't remember how much, but I would say he was like 600. But
he is 550. He's 550.
550. Okay, so he's more. He's not quite 500. Sorry, 600. Like I said, but he's 550. So he is about 100 points more than a lot of these sort of guys that we've been looking at, and we will look at. I mean, Khan fits his army great.
Yeah.
I think again, if you're willing to put in the time and money, him on his bike is a great option, and him on foot is not bad either. Especially like you said, that's the way they have the model right now. Him going on foot with someone and, the bike screaming up the side, or him saying a flanking assault, and, whoever he's going against is going to have a very bad day. So overall, I do like him. I think I like the Lion a little bit more, but that's me personally. But we'll rank them all later. Any other thoughts on the Man in White? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Huh?
Yeah, I'll cover this guy.
All right. So we're on to the next one. Apparently Steve's not very happy about that, but you didn't say you didn't want to talk about him earlier.
Exactly.
I would have accepted that. I asked who people wanted to talk about, but I would have absolutely accepted someone saying they don't want to talk about someone.
I did.
So
I just have this thing about hypocrites is all.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about it, and then you can tell us a little bit about him, who's apparently a hypocrite.
All right, so Leman Russ, for 450 points, you could feel the Wolf King of Fenris, the Lord of Winter and Ruin, Primarch of the Space Wolves, and first killer of loyal Astartes. Boom, I said it. Leman Russ meets the Space Wolves. He's got a movement of 8, weapon skill of 8, ballistic skill of 6, strength 7, toughness and wounds 6, initiative and attacks 7, leadership 10, and a 2-up save. To no one's surprise, he's a Primarch, he's unique, and he has the Skirmish subtype, which means he has a 3-inch coherency, and if he's hiding in cover, he gets a +1 to his cover saves. Isn't that dandy? For war gear, we have the Armor Elevagar, the Axe of Hellwinter, the Sword of Bale Knight, Scorn Spitter, and Can't Leave Home Without Your Frag Grenades. He's a Space Wolf, Master of the Legion. He has the Howl of the Death Wolf, Counter Attack 2. He's a Loyalist and has a Warlord trait all of his own, Sire of the Space Wolves. Speaking of that Warlord trait, here's what it does. If he's the Warlord, he automatically has this trait. They get a +1 bonus to their Strength for the duration of any turn they charge an enemy unit. Because this is not Furious Charge, but a separate bonus, it will stack if you have Furious Charge from somewhere else. In addition, an army with Leman Russ the Warlord gets an extra reaction in the opponent's assault phase.
That's really good.
That is
all
really
your space
good.
Get +1 strength on their charge, and that's what you want to be doing.
Oh yeah.
ABC, always be charging.
Oh yeah. Now that does not work with counterattack, unfortunately, but it's still really nice. Let's see. Howl the Death Wolf was the other special rule he had. Once per battle, the controlling player may declare the use of the special rule at the start of their turn. For the duration of that turn only, all friendly models or Space Wolves gain a +1 to their movement characteristic. Nice. And any enemy units that include one or more models with the Space Wolf special rule must make an immediate pinning test.
I love that. That's great.
Okay. So if any Space Wolves fall out of line, Leman Russ lets out a howl, and they're like, "Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should, be a better boy." Okay, interesting. Are there canonical traitor Space Wolves?
I'm sure there is.
I know the White Scars have a lot that were
Yes.
at least borderline. They do? Okay.
And technically the Wolfen, even though they're
you can stop with the technical. Just go ahead and discuss.
No, because they're like soul drinkers. They're super mutated, but Like, I
Interesting.
guess loyalist.
This just justifies me in saying that Space Wolves are among the first traitors of the Horus Heresy.
Oh my god. What at least what I like about it is it's a nice fluff rule that also still does something.
Yeah,
Like there's
it
sometimes
works.
you'll have like, oh, here's your fluff rule. All right, well, if they're not against Space Wolves, who cares? Like, oh no, you get +1 movement for that your player turn, and you get bonuses in strength when you charge, and you can run in charge because that's the whole Space Wolf thing. This is great.
Yeah, no,
All right.
it's an interesting rule for sure. All right, then let's get into his war gear. We have the armor of Elavagar. It is a suit of Artificer armor, so we give him a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable, which becomes a 3-up against flame, melta, and plasma type weapons. Interesting. I'm surprised it's not against frost weapons because he lives in a cold world, ice planet. But I mean, I guess it protects him against too much heat, but not Volkite, so it's not quite the same as Salamander's domain. Okay.
Yeah.
In addition, enemy models in base contact with him suffer a -1 to hit penalty in assault to a maximum of 6-up on any turn he makes a charge.
That's big.
He's
To
got a
hit
little
him
Emperor's children
specifically.
blood in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's big. Well, -1 to hit, we've talked about before. -1 to hit is that's a big boy move.
I assume he'd have to either be entering a challenge or on his own, though, for that to really matter, based
Yes.
on majority weapon skill rules. But still, that's ooh. And with that weapon skill 8 base, it's gonna be 6s for normal tactical marines, 5s for veterans. That's getting pushed back to 6s. His fellow brothers might struggle to hit him. That's really nice.
Well, so here's the thing with it, because it's enemy models in base contact. They don't lose a weapon skill. They're just -1 to hit.
Yeah.
So if you're not in a challenge, you would have to, I guess, be rolling those models separate because they actually have a different to hit stat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is super weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it is because it's not.
It's
If it
okay.
was lower weapon skill, I'd agree with you on your original thought there, because then you still get a majority. But it's not actually changing their weapon skills. It's
But
actually
it's
just
still
changing their value to
but
hit.
it's still to hit him specifically, though, not his unit.
True.
So it
Well,
would either
so
be
if it was him, yeah, if it was him
models
on
in a
his
challenge
own,
or him on his own.
yeah, it is weird, but that's really good
The
because that is
Space Wolves are
essentially for
weird.
most thing, it's a 6 to hit you in the first turn. Then for
Yeah.
most, with a weapon skill of 8.
Yeah, so other Primarchs might need a 5 if they're lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
unless they have a bonus themselves.
that's really nice. All right, so the first of his melee weapons, the Sword of Bale Knight. It is Strength +1, AP 2, Melee, Murder Strike 4-up, and Brutal 2. Not to mention, it's also Fearsome Ruin and Mastercrafted. Fearsome Ruin is the same as before. You roll an extra d6 for morale checks and drop the lowest. Keep the 2 highest.
All right, what about the axe?
I think it's better than the Lion Sword, or rather the Wolf Blade. This actually,
Well, he kept the better one for himself.
this is true.
Yeah, well, so I mean, the brutal alone is great because when we think of Primarch v Primarch or the ability to Primarch killer, Primarchs usually, for the most extent, currently have had about the same number of attacks as wounds, so not likely. But when you start throwing brutal in there, now you start making a big difference. Comparing the two, it's better AP.
Mm-hmm.
Still two-handed. The other one had shred, so you lose that. Oh no, sorry, this has shred. Oh no, I'm on the wrong thing.
No, it doesn't.
Yep, it does not. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong guy. There we go. Sorry. So yeah, better AP. The Wolf's Blade had better strength. It's Murderous Strike instead. The other one is just breaching and has Reaping Blow, but this one's brutal. Yeah, this one's better.
Yeah. All right. And then paired with the
I'm
Sword
not
of Bale
two-handed.
Knight, we have the Axe of Hellwinter. It's Russ's favorite axe. But it's more normal than his sword, apparently, according to the fluff blurb. It gives him +2 strength, AP 2, melee, Sunder for some anti armor nonsense, Reaping Blow 1 for some horde clearing, and Mastercrafted. He gets both of these weapons. So remember how I said he had 7 attacks earlier? Yeah, no, it's 8 attacks. Very nice. Which of those would you use more often?
Okay.
I think it depends on the target.
That depends on
I
the
think
target.
I think it does, but I think it is more likely. If we want to think of, obviously you have both. Unlike Lionel Johnson, you don't have to choose. But I kind of feel that the Bale Knight is the more common one I would want to be using.
Yeah, because he's doubling out a Marine either way.
Yes, and he has Brutal 2, which is going to be more useful with the Murder Strike. I mean, yeah, if I'm going against a 20-man squad of TAC Marines, maybe the other one, but this one also has the Fearsome Ruin. So if I'm going against a big horde piece, there's my way to get through it. I can guarantee some kills. You're gonna fail because I'm making it harder for you. Hopefully you will, and I'm fast. I'll run you down. Sell me on the X. When am I using that X?
To pop a tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sunder. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that's it. Maybe against an automata unit, but even then, you want the Murderous Strike. So yeah, no,
Absolutely.
that's it. It's just to kill tanks.
Yeah. You want the Murder Strike or even the Brutal 2, even if you don't get the Murder Strike.
Yep.
To try to get more wounds into multi-wound models, because those would be.
All
All
right.
right. What about his stupid gun?
His
I
sidearm,
don't
the
like it.
Scorn Spitter. It was once simply a Legion Bolter, but it was reworked. Oh, Vulkan made this for him. Okay.
Nice. That's brother
That's
helping brother right
nice.
there.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
That's
Okay, we're
adorable.
getting.
All right. So it's got range 12, strength 4, but AP 3, assault 3, and rending 6 up. I think I liked Khan's Volkite better, and I definitely liked Lionel's Plasma Pistol better.
Yeah. You're
But
not
this is
taking this guy
nice.
for his gun
No,
at all.
absolutely not.
And with this game having reactions and all, this is absolutely a weapon I could see that I maybe just never fire once. Because then they get to react back at me, and maybe they can actually, not necessarily, maybe they'll damage him or they'll damage the unit I'm in. I may never shoot with that unit.
Yep, and if I'm remembering right, it's been a while. I don't normally run counterattack units. You don't get counterattack and return fire, right? I think you
Yes,
have
you
to
can.
pick.
Yeah.
No,
I know you can't get
No, no.
counterattack and what's it called? The other one, the brace. I forget if you could Overwatch and
I think you get counterattack in Overwatch.
Well, that sounds to
That's
me
a
like we need to look up counterattack, which I have right here.
Oh,
This is on page 236 of the main rules for anyone following along. You have to have at least one model with the unit, and they're charged. Every model gains a number of additional attacks as listed there. If when charged, the unit is already locked to combat or has made the hold the line reaction, has no special rules. So you can shoot back first. That's okay.
okay.
But hold the line,
So
you cannot.
maybe if you want to use your reaction to shoot back, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you get an extra salt phase reaction, so
And he's not worried about holding the line. I don't think overall,
exactly.
probably depending on what comes in. Maybe the rest of the unit can actually kill someone
Yeah.
included.
So maybe you will use it once a game.
So
I think we should probably cover the Wolfkin of Russ because they go with him, even though they are not Primarchs themselves.
yes.
Which means we have an imbalance. So, the Wolfkin of Russ gets 100 points for not one, but two doggos. You get one Freki and one Gary. They are armed with tooth and claw. They have a movement of 10. Freki has a weapon skill of 5, strength 5, and toughness of 5 with 4 wounds. At initiative 5, 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a 5 up save. While Gary has weapon skill 7, because Gary's the goodest fighting boy, but then he has only 3 attacks instead of 4 attacks. So Freki's more ferocious, Gary is more precise. Good luck keeping the two straight.
yeah, we do. Everyone confuses the two, which I always find hilarious.
Yeah, we have Freki the Swift and Gary the Cunning, the Hearth Wolves of the King. So they're infantry with the skirmish, light, and unique subtypes. They have a lot of special rules. They have Fearless, they cause fear level 1, they have Rampage 2, Hammer of Wrath 1, Feel No Pain 5 up. They are bulky 4 because not only are they good doggos, they're massive doggos.
Yeah, they are massive.
And they are the Wolfkin of Russ, which means They can only be taken if you have Russ in the same detachment. They are treated as a HQ choice so far as anything's concerned, but they don't take up slots. They can only ever be joined by Leman Russ, no one else. But they don't have to be attached to him. So he could be in a squad of Terminators, they could be running alongside it.
It reminds me of like when I used to play ogres and used to take what are they, saber tooth
Yeah.
tigers.
Yep.
I was
They're
like, this is
saber-toothed.
just it's good. It's good distraction. Or even I hate that. Oh my god, it's gonna sound bad. PETA, please don't attack me. It's good Overwatch soakers.
I'm gonna send my dogs at them. Go shoot
Yeah.
them.
And any chance of getting sponsors just went out the window.
This from Peter. Peter wasn't going to sponsor us.
That's
They
fair.
they they went against GW at one point because some of the models had pelts on them.
Correct, including Horus Lupercal, because it sends the
Yes.
wrong message that it makes you cool and badass. Apparently.
I mean, that's not what made him cool and badass. So,
Because,
and they're
mass murder's not the bad thing. It's the wolf pelt that makes him a bad
It's the
Exactly.
wolf pelt. Yeah.
And then finally, their
Yeah.
weapon, Tooth and Claw. It's strength users. That's going to be strength 5. It's AP4 base with melee and breaching 6 up. So they don't do much, but they're good boys nonetheless.
I mean, they're cheap. 100 points for this is not that much. I just think the big thought is, do you want them, to be with him? Like, I don't. I guess for 100 points, that's one of the cheaper things you could take. That is a problem that someone might need to deal with, or 100 points for him to have, a lot more wounds and to be getting helped out a little bit, I guess.
I'm honestly surprised that they're neither characters nor chosen warriors.
Yeah, I
For some reason, it feels like they should be.
I
I'm actually surprised at that too.
Because
I didn't even notice it until
every
you
dog
posted
is
it
a
out.
hero. Every dog is a hero. So why aren't they?
that is true. What I would have thought, because maybe they were worried about some weird balance stuff with that. What I would have liked them to have done then, because they've done weird stuff before. You know, okay, they give them I don't know, some name of a rule, but like, maybe the challenge only goes in one direction, or something like that.
Or like you can't
People
use
can't challenge
precision
them.
strikes against Russ because they're watching, to protect his back or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen something, even if you had to up their points a little bit. I would have liked to seen something cool that themes them into him in game rather than just through the fluff and maybe here's a cheap unit that you like the look of. So what do we think of Russ and his boys?
Oh, the light subtype means they can. I just realized that they are not space wolves.
No, they're not Space Wolves.
Ooh. Does the light subtype let you run in charge? I forget that one. That's a weird one. I know it lets you
Yeah,
run in to
make me.
shoot as snapshots.
Yes. No, they cannot actually run in charge then.
Uh
They're
oh.
move 10 though, so they're moving faster than most other stuff anyway in the army, so it's not too much of a downside, but it's something important to keep in
Well,
mind.
Marines are going 11 in charging because, initiative.
No, no, I agree. But like, okay, these guys are 1 inch less. I think the very important thing to do is to keep in mind if you put Russ with them and you decide, Russ wants to run up to get closer, then you're not charging. I think that it's going to be the gotcha in the negative way is the biggest thing I think here.
Yeah. Well, good news. You could fit the 3 of them all together inside of a Land Raider because their total capacity is 12, and that's Land Raider capacity.
There you go. um of the 3 so far, and we didn't say in the beginning, Space Wolves big thing. They want to get into combat. They want to
Oh,
rush
yeah.
forward. Yeah.
That's their thing. Either they run and charge, or if they cannot run, they get bonus weapon skill on the charge. So they charge, and that's it. They just
Yeah.
get in there.
Um
So boosting their strength on the charge, yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think it sounds weird, but to me, it's somewhat his utility of what he does. I have nothing against what he does, but I don't know if I'd say overall just on Primarch to Primarch thing if I like him more than some of the other ones. The brutal I think is great, but him boosting the strength I think supports the army much bigger
Well,
than the other two did.
I think he's on tier for army wide support with the con because they essentially do the same thing, just in a technically slightly
True.
different way.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that one's Furious Charge as opposed to
Russ
this one just saying a
will
strength one.
stack, whereas the Khan won't stack.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of gain there, not by much, but
Yeah.
um, I think honestly the Brutal 2 is probably what sways it for me
Yeah.
of him feeling really, really good.
So
Yeah,
remember,
he goes
brutal
after the
too.
Khan or something like that. But yeah.
If you get the murder strike off, that's potentially 2d3 wounds he's forcing through on a not eternal warrior, but on a Primarch or something like that, right? Or is it always just one for them? I forget.
I think it was
Eternal
one.
Warrior is
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Always
Yeah,
one.
your thing of Atomic Deflector
yup,
turns it to a D3.
yup, which I like a lot. Except for
Yes.
when it makes you immune to Warlord Titans, which is kind of stupid, but whatever. Okay. No, he's great. He cuts through. Honestly, he cuts through things better than the Lion does because of that.
Yes. The lion the lion has instant death. So it really depends if I mean he has a murder strike, but this is brutal. So like there's a back and forth of which one you want for things that instant death doesn't matter, then Leman Russ is better in every way. But when instant death will matter, it's a bit more of an argument depending on what exactly you do. But or because you could with him, you could make wounds that aren't murderous strike. You could have wounds that don't cause instant death. They're brutal too, which is nice, but there's a chance they don't. But then again, you also are strength 8 on those charges. Yeah, it might just be overall better in most cases. Again, that's on cursory glance. When we compare all of them, and I'll have a little more time to think about it and see if I can come up with some other options there.
Oh, I just realized.
What's that?
Because of Sire of the Space Wolves, he is a Space Wolf.
Yes, God,
It's
I would hope so.
+1 strength on the charge. So he's strength 8 base. He'd actually be
Yep.
10 with the axe. So the axe is really good for clearing out toughness 5 things, such as Custodes
Yeah,
Oh,
or
yeah.
Thalax. There we go. That's when you use the axe.
yeah,
Because
you're
instant
right.
death probably works out better than brutal against those 3 wound models.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. So it's vehicles or things that are at toughness 5.
But once you hit toughness 6, go right back to the sword.
Yeah, or if you
Right
don't get
back
the
to the sword.
charge.
Yup.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, we
Wow.
found it. We
Strength,
found it.
We found it. Strength 10 and Sunders. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, he's carving vehicles as well, which is good. You got to get to those fleshy bits and somehow. All right, so that takes us to the next set. Dan said he wanted Ferrus Manus, who's going to be part of the set. To not force Steve to do 2 in a row. Steve, I guess,
Yeah,
can take
don't give
Sanguinius.
me this next one. Do not give me this
No,
next one.
well, I was going to say the other reason because of
I
your particular flavor.
yeah,
of
I'm
what
not
you
biased
like.
at all. I just speak truth.
Particular flavor.
Yeah, the flavor is salt.
Is it
Salt is a
salt?
flavor.
Is it
Yes.
bitter? Oh, so it's like dark chocolate with those nice big chunks of Himalayan salt. I could accept that. Very good taste. Very good flavor. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. We also would have accepted that chocolate that's got that little bit of an orange taste because you smack it down on something and it opens like an orange. I also would have accepted
Oh,
that.
I love those. Those things
They
are
are really
amazing.
good. All right, so we're on to Imperial Fists to talk about Rogal Dorn. For a brief overview of Imperial Fists, we did a tier list, so we did talk about all these there. It should come no surprise that these guys were highly ranked. If you want to know more about that, watch that video. Subtle plug. Or not subtle. I'm fine with either way. They get +1 to hit on auto weapons, bolt weapons. They have some really great units. They have, honestly, hands down, one of the strongest rights of war because they have great units coming out of it. This is a very strong legion that feels very good in shooting and has really good ways to survive out in close combat. Not that they won't do damage; they can absolutely do that as well. But they also have that good feel of being able to survive, and they have one of the stronger or strongest melee weapons in the game with their Solar Power Gauntlets. So let's see what Rogal Dorn does for these protection boys. All right, he's 435, So he's kind of sitting a little bit on the cheaper end of what we've seen so far. Move 8, weapon skill 8. He's ballistic skill, strength, and toughness all 6s. He has 7 wounds, so he does have 1 extra wound than some of his other brothers. So far, most of them have been 6, unless you throw the con on a bike. He's initiative 6 with 6 attack, of course, 10 leadership and 2 up save. He is just unique, Primarch, of course, but no other special things on that. He has the Arctic armor. He has Storm's Teeth, the Voice of Terror, and of course he has some frag grenades. He's a Master of Legion, and of course he's Imperial Fist. He has the Bulwark of Imperium. He is a Crusader as well, using the same rule that we've been talking about. He is Furious Charge 2, which is huge, especially when he's Strength 6, which is a little bit lower than some of the others. He has Deep Strike, which is the first one we've seen so far, which is great. He can just show up out of a teleporter. He's a Loyalist, and of course he has a Warlord trait about being the sire of the Imperial Fists. So if he's your Warlord, obviously he has this Warlord trait. All models that are Imperial Fist special rule and the character subtype in the same army as Rogal Dorn may use his leadership characteristic instead of their own, which was a 10. And any unit they are part of may add +1 to the total number of successful wounds caused for any purpose of resolving which side won a combat. It does not stack, though, with any other rule that increases the assault result. So, what is that? Your what's the standard?
Yeah,
Vexilla,
unit
that's it.
standard. Yep.
Yeah, so none of those count. I don't think they necessarily needed to do that, but sure. In addition, if he's your Warlord, you may select one phase at the start of the battle before any models are deployed. During the chosen phase, any army that includes him gets an additional reaction as long as he hasn't been removed. I think the first part feels worse, and the second part feels better. Though I guess, well, most units have a character. Not every single one, but most of them have a character because it's not an independent character. You get to use his leadership, so you can go to leadership 10. Yeah, I guess actually, since you could just have a character as long as they're not dead, you go to leadership 10, and you get to choose when your additional reaction is. The extra wound from in the assault, I'm not as sold on personally.
It's helpful in case your
Yes.
Vexillas get sniped, or it saves you 10 points a unit. Um, the flexibility of which phase you get your reaction in. Granted, you have to pick before the game and then stick to it, but the flexibility that's afforded is huge.
That is a huge part to me because different armies you'll have an idea of what they might want to do. Okay, I have an idea of what you want to do. I now have a way to counter it to some extent. I know if you want to shoot more, I probably want shooting ones. If you want to assault more, I want assault reactions. Depending on what you want to do is going to tailor me a little bit to what I can do. And leadership 10, actually, no, the more I think about it, that is exceptionally useful because it is just character. And almost all your units are going to have characters, at least to start. All right, I'm sold on it. I'm not sure I like it than more of the others, but also it's very fitting for him. The Arc armor, of course, it's gives him 2 up save, 4 up invul. In addition, no attack may wound him on better than a 4+, regardless of its strength or special rule.
And
That's really
there
good.
you have it. Transhuman physiology from 40k is in Heresy, but only
Yep.
on this guy. Gross.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah. Now, well,
Ew.
okay. Well, we can go with that, but yes, although, well, I guess because he's a little bit of lower, he's on toughness 6. It's gonna matter. I guess it'll matter on the things that he cares about getting hurt by. Most things are not going to be hurting him more than 4, but the things that would cut through his armor or other Primarchs, that's probably the biggest concern. How does that work with Fleshbane?
Regardless of strength or special rules.
Yep.
Okay,
Special
yep.
rules, just
Regardless of
4 up.
special rules,
It
yep.
would be
Okay,
a 2. Nope, now it's a 4. It
yep.
just sets it to a 4 up at best.
No, that's very good. Yeah, because it does say special rules. My apologies on that. All right. Yeah, that for the moment absolutely makes him probably the most survivable.
I mean, that compared with the weapon skill 8? Ugh.
Yeah.
Why? Who does he fight? Who does he beat? I'm sorry. This isn't my Primarch. I shouldn't be talking about this.
A lot of
It took him. Hold on, I put his salt timer, by the way. That was 6 minutes and
Did you?
27 seconds. Yep.
Hey, that's
I
not
think
bad.
that's my new record for self-control.
Yeah.
Wow.
That I mean, all things considered, that's actually not bad.
I didn't know when to start it because he started salted, But I was like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, you give him a little bit of time first. Oh, and the other thing, before I mention a little bit about that, he has Bulwark of the Imperium, so any successful charge that targets him or the unit he's joined counts as disordered automatically. So you're not getting your bonuses. Some of them you might still get because some Legion traits don't care if you're disordered or not, but you're not getting extra attacks or maybe some other bonuses. And you're going to have a really hard time hurting this guy because he's weapon skill 8. And the things that would truly hurt him, which are probably items sitting at, strength 8 or other Primarchs abilities, don't harm anything better than a 4. So he ain't going down. His weapons, so he can survive. Let's see how he actually fights. His Storm's Teeth is a chain weapon. It's +2 strength, AP2. So he's sitting at strength 8, AP2. He's melee, two-handed. It's Murderous Strike on a 6, Shred, and it's Reaping Blow 2. When you're AP2, I'm less concerned about Murderous Strike. Not that it doesn't matter, but at least you're AP2. And his yeah. And the Reaping Blow 2, okay, he'll get some extra. He can get himself additional attacks. I don't think it's the best weapon overall, but when you're super survivable, I don't think you have to have nearly as good of a weapon. And you can deep strike, which is great. The Voice of Terra, this is a bolt weapon, which being bolt, for him technically +1 to hit.
Rules interactions then.
Yep.
It's a bolt weapon. So, ballistic skill 6 means he hits on 2s with a re-roll for 6s.
Yes.
Does that make it 2s with a re-roll for 5s because it's +1? I think so, right?
I would say yes, because their rule just says +1 to hit with bolt weapon. It doesn't specify not on the reroll or anything like that. I would say yes, but I could see them FAQing it the other way because technically it was on your reroll, but I would say yes. He's a Primarch, just give it to him. Let him hit you a little bit better with his bolter. The weapon, so it's 24 inches, strength 5, AP 3, assault 3, and rending 5 up.
It's better than Russ's.
Yes. It's better than some of the others. This is a weapon you might actually fire. Also, because when I think about the Legion, I think about picking something off the floor. I do think about some of the units he might be in would actually be shooting as well, where that's not always true for some of these options, or / the survivability. I always think of like, oh, do you want to shoot? And maybe you don't want to shoot because of what's going to happen to you. I'm less concerned about that for some of, for him or maybe who he's with.
Dan, question for you.
Go ahead.
So the fluff says that it's based on the Custodian's own weaponry. Is there
Actually,
giant bolter thing close in stats to this?
Let me see here. Strength 5 AP 3? Not
They're
really.
The,
So I thought it.
Sagittarum, right? That's
yes,
what
but the
similar to.
Sagittarum. So hold on. If you give me 5 seconds. That's a very good question. But the Sagittarum guns don't. I have the picture up. That's hilarious. I was actually looking at the weapon. It's almost like I was looking at the weapons beforehand. No, let me scroll and find this thing because I don't even think it's a bolt weapon, which would be funny. Close combat. It's a bolt weapon, right?
Yep.
Combi, las, flame, bolt. Here we are. Yeah, no, it's not AP3. It is strength 5.
So
they can't give their
bullets.
base thing AP3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be too much.
I mean, they completely could because they're the Golden Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just metallic scheme Imperial fists.
I mean, to some extent, yes. Okay. He's obviously. It's going to be. It's almost a moot point of saying that they're good. The Primarchs are all going to be good. They're all very expensive, and some might fit better or worse. And those are all discussions we have. So obviously, he's good. One, I think it's absolutely hilarious that he can deep strike. I think that works great. And I know the Hammerfall Strike Force. That's one where you can give units deep strike. He has it natively. So I think it fits very well in that. I think in no way is he the most killy. In no way is his goal going to be destroying the enemy, but they're not going to take him down. He will hurt things. I'm thinking about the stuff that truly can harm him is not going to be hurting him. So he is exceedingly survivable, and I think that's it. Both fits the fluff, and it gives us something that's not just you're a pure murder monster in every way possible, because that kind of gets boring. But any thoughts from you, Dan, on Rogal Dorn now that we're at 4 of them?
No, he's. I mean, I'm going to be slightly biased because I play Custodes, but no, he's neat. He works.
I would definitely hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting when we do a breakdown of these guys in terms of where we want to place them, because I'm ground rule wise, we're going to set some rules that they can't all go into the same sort of spots. Like, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but they have to fill in, to kind of fill out a chart. So some people might get ranked low who are still really good. Just got to put someone down there. Not everyone can be
And
amazing.
it's so weird
That
too
ain't fun.
because some of them are buff monsters. Like they'll buff the
Yes.
army to extent, but they're not great combat warriors. And the question is then, where do you put them?
Ironically, I don't think Rogal Dorn's the best buff. Like he
No, I'm not
helps,
saying he
He's
is.
but he's
I'm
not
not
the
saying
best
he is.
buff, which is
No,
weird.
I'm not saying him, but I'm saying just in general.
There's no rules about hiding behind a wall, which is exceptionally weird.
Yes.
I was very surprised
He
about
is
that.
straightforward. He's a very, I would say he's more of a buff character than a fighting character per se. Again, when we're talking about Primarch levels of things. But he's exceptionally good at taking the hit. So I think he's good at buffing and surviving it, where we're going to see some other Primarchs in the future that might be more buff, but they don't take the hit nearly as good as he does. Speaking of hits and broken backs and all kinds of things.
Sanguinius.
Yep.
Sanguinius, the
Tell us what
great
happens
angel.
when you get hit from the top rope.
As I build Kabanda. As I'm building Kabanda, literally.
Watch
right
out,
now.
Dan. I will start Blood Angels just to smack that guy off the board. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Do it. You won't.
All right. So for 485 points, which I believe is the highest we've come across so far.
Yes,
get
by 25 points. Yeah.
You get the Sanguinius. He's got a movement 8, weapon skill 8, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, wounds, initiative, and attacks, all 6.
That's easy, at least.
Leadership 10 and a 2-up save. So he's a little bit softer and doesn't punch quite as hard as his brothers do. But it's okay because he has those beautiful, beautiful wings. He's got the Regalia Resplendent, the Blade and Carmine, Infernus, and of course he's got his frag grenades. He's a Primarch, he's a Blood Angel, he's got Master of the Legion, bulky 6 because of the wings. He's got an angelic presence. Like I said, he's got those great wings. He's got deep strike. Obviously, he's a loyalist, and he's the sire of the Blood Angels. And he has a choice. You may either have the Blade and Carmine, or the Spear of Telesto and the Moonsilver Blade combined. And that's a free swap. So if he's your warlord, which, of course he will be, Blood Angels in the same army as Sanguinius that deploys part of a Deep Strike Assault, or has a Warhawk Jump Pack, gains +1 weapon skill on the turn they make a charge. So you Deep Strike, you get +1 weapon skill when you charge. You got a Jump Pack, +1 on the charge. So if you Deep Strike Terminators in, you'll get a +1 on that turn. But Jump Packs all the time? Am I reading that right?
Let me see. Or has it jump pack? Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
if you have the jump pack the way it is worded, it's either just or if you own a jump pack, automatic.
Sounds good. So, you will always be doing the old Space Marine game body slam with a jump pack. Very nice. And you get an extra reaction in the movement phase as long as he's alive. So as long as you have not fought Horus Ascended, you get a +1 reaction in the movement phase. Very nice. Very nice. Wow, that's a lot of rules. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of things.
So let's go top to bottom. Angelic Presence, if friendly units locked in combat with 1 mile within 6 of Sanguinius get +1 to the wounds they score. For results, it does not stack, so it's like the Dorn thing, except he doesn't have to have the title attached to him of being the warlord. He just gives it to his friends that are nearby. That's the limitation of it, though.
Yes, and it does count him as well. So it's
Yep.
people within 6 or him.
Next we have the Regalia Resplendent. This gives him a 2 of armor save and a 4 of invulnerable save, and allows any failed invulnerable saves on a turn Sanguinius charges to be rerolled because he's just being glorious and shiny. Next he's got Great Wings. Apparently he's an excellent cook. At the start of the controlling player's movement
God.
phase or when deploys for a deep strike, his movement may be set to 14 for that turn, which lets him move to 14 inches, so on and so forth. He goes over impassable vertical. Basically, it's a jump pack with a move of 14.
Yeah. Although he
Dangerous
can run.
terrain if he starts or ends in terrain.
Yeah. The second paragraph is the new
Yes.
stuff that separates him from
Yep.
being a pure jump pack.
Yep, he can run. His initiative becomes. Oh, sorry, no. If he makes a run move, his initiative, it's initiative plus 14. I thought he said he had initiative 14 for a second. I was losing my mind. It's like,
I did too.
what?
I missed that one thing. I was like, wait, what? Nah.
Okay, no.
I mean, it's still 20.
Yeah.
He would still move 20 inches.
He runs like you expect. 14 plus initiative. There we go. He cannot make shooting attacks or run if he does that, which is a bit of a shame, but that's okay. You have to balance him somehow. You do
And you
not
can't
get
use
to
him
use
during
the
a
wings.
reaction.
Yeah, no wings during reactions. All right. So his pistol, Infernus, it is a melta weapon. It has a range of 18, strength 8, and AP 1. It's assault 2, armor bane melta, and 1 shot. So you have to use it once per game. It's nice that he has it. You could open up a Land Raider before you charge all the juicy bits on the inside.
What? Why did it have to be one shot?
I guess
And I don't care the fluff reason. Maybe that fits, but why did it have to be one shot?
Maybe instant death gun is too much when you pick the target. I don't know.
Then make it assault one. Get it so he only gets one shot with it each round, but he can keep shooting. The fact that you can only shoot
that
once,
means you can. I could see what Steve was just saying. It's an instant death gun.
You're a 500 point model. I'm okay you being able to instant death certain things. You're 500 points.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
I think it's more likely.
Legion. It's not like Alpha Legion don't do the same thing with their multi-melta headhunter squads.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's probably more likely that you're going to use it to pop a vehicle to get at something inside of it. That's probably the more likely use. But if the concern is that it's way too good, then make it one shot. But only being able to fire it once, you're a Primarch. I then give him a weapon that he can fire more often. I kind of just like the fit of that better. All right, but he's got other weapons. Sell me on these.
Yep, he has one of the two
cool.
following things. He could have the Blade and Carmen, which gives him strength +1, bumping him up from 6 to 7. It's got AP 2. It's a melee weapon, obviously. It gives him Rage 2, Rampage 2, Murderous Strike 5 up, Shred, and Mastercrafted. So he will get 2 bonus attacks on the charge and another 2 bonus attacks if he's outnumbered. That's your horde clearance right there. He'll be swinging with 10 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
With a fairly decent stat line with the shred and all that involved.
Oh yeah.
Murder Strike 5 up is okay. It's basically a super fancy Paragon Blade. Alternatively, you take the Spear of Telesto and the Moonsilver Blade. It's a free swap. So, the Spear is strength 10, fixed, AP 1. It's got melee two-handed. It's mastercrafted. It's lance, so the maximum armor value of something you attack is treated as 12. So, like, oh, I'm poking a Land Raider. It's armor 12 as far as this is concerned. And it has Exoshock 4 up, so that will absolutely wreck a vehicle's day.
Yeah, well.
Opposite that, you have the Moonsilver Blade, which is Strength User, AP 2, Melee, Mastercrafted, Dan's favorite rule Blind, Duelist's Edge,
Always.
and Moonsilver. Moonsilver. Any unsaved wound caused against a model with a demon unit type or Psyker subtype is instead 2 wounds. So it's brutal 2 for demons and Psykers.
Yeah. And then he can shoot it once, so you get another
yes,
once per battle.
Once per game, you could shoot your spear at someone. You can no longer use it after you shoot the spear. So it's got a range of 12, strength of 10, AP 1, assault 1, exoshock 4 up, instant death. Nice. And lance. So twice per game you could shoot.
Yeah, if you take that, but then you'll never use the spear again either.
Yeah.
Which is strength 10,
I mean,
AP 1. I'm not saying the Moonsilver Blade is bad, but strength 10, AP 1 is pretty nice.
yeah, it is. But I would take the Blade and Carmen over the Spear of Callisto. Just because it gets you all those attacks. And access to Murderous Strike, which is sometimes better than just being strength 10. For example, Contemptors.
The blade is more well, this way. The spear is more situational. The blade is probably just all around a bit better. I mean, being strength 10 AP1 is very good. There's nothing bad about it, but it's kind of built to more go for vehicles. The other one, I mean, if you're already at the rage, assuming you get the charge, you're already doubling most of the stuff out anyway. So, yeah, I'd probably go the same, but again, if you are facing a lot of toughness 5 things, yeah, then I go the spear.
Yep, makes
Just
sense.
go straight to tough 10. But if
I
not,
dare I say he's not great compared to the others. He's
yeah,
an amazing buff for a jump pack based army, but toe to toe, he's decent. Like, he's not wrecking other Primarchs. They're swinging before him for the most part. He's just decent.
yeah, he is sitting at more of the buff piece rather than for he himself of what he does.
I
He
guess he's
is
just so
definitely
inspiring
fast.
because he's so pretty.
Oh yeah, look, he's a beautiful man, and you got to follow him into battle. Um, he is, with his great wings, with how fast he can move. I think then you might not feel bad kind of running him off on his own in certain spots. He can go up with the squad, but then he can run to his own to go and handle a squad, especially if you take the blade, because then you can just go carving through some units that you need to. But you're not going to want to you're probably not going to want to face the toughest things with him, unlike some of the other Primarchs. He's going to want to be a little more selective about who he fights.
I'll put it this way: this Sanguinius probably won't be 1v1ing a Warlord Titan.
No.
You can put some hits on it with that spear, because the stat line ain't bad at all. He's guaranteed to damage it on 2s with an extra shock 4 up. I don't think he's 1v1ing it. Maybe he will, just because of the spear, the extra shock. All right, Dan, do the math and get back to me next week.
Well, I was gonna say,
Don't do it
It
right
will
now.
take him
Not
about
right
a
now.
week.
No.
No, don't do it right now.
No. But I
You
was gonna
need a
say,
week.
fun fact: I don't even think Titans are affected by exoshock anyway. So the math is absolutely useless.
Oh, how about Lance?
I know that they ignore haywire. There are certain things that they ignore essentially because they are too big. It's like a machine god of war
So
or machine
what I'm
god.
what I'm getting out of this is they made Dorn on the table stronger than Dorn in the books, and they assassinated my poor boy Sanguinius.
Yeah. Well, okay, Dan, you're in the
What a
middle of
shame.
putting together Kabanda.
Oh, Kabanda will destroy him.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what
Kabanda
I
will
was going to ask. Like, who's
Oh
going
yeah,
to win
yeah.
that one?
No. Kabanda will absolutely. Just to give you, because he's Eternal Warrior, so he doesn't, get affected by the multi damage. But literally from just Kabanda's 7 attacks at strength 12. Yeah.
If you want to
Okay.
learn more about Kabanda, go back to our Iron Warriors
Also,
episode where we covered his
yeah.
stats.
Or Kabanda, like let's say you charge Kabanda and you have a retinue with you. Great. Now he has D3 plus 1 attacks as well. So
Well, what's Kabanda's bulky value? Because Sanguinius is 6 models towards outnumbering.
that's a very good question. He's not bulky.
So 2 Night Lords will outnumber that thing.
Yeah, he's gargantuan. I don't think gargantuan has.
Oh, maybe it will under the subtypes. It might be like
No,
No,
I was
the
looking at.
subtype has to. It
I
better.
don't know, man. Contemptors are a single model.
So
No,
I'm not
contemptors are
seeing it.
overlooked.
It
That's what that
just
means.
talks about reacting to stuff under 8 wounds, but there's no
So he
bulky for
can't
him.
react to Sanguinius. Because
He
Sanguinius is
cannot.
beneath him?
Yes. You can only react to things that are Dreadnought, Armiger, Primarch. Oh no, Primarch. You can react to Primarchs.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
there it
I'll
is.
see it. They can react to
Yeah.
Primarchs.
But yeah, no, he
Same
has
thing with Driven Knights.
0 bulky value, sir. So he gets 8 attacks, 8 plus D3 attacks at strength 12.
Yeah. Sanguinius isn't standing against it. That's
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He broke his if I'm not mistaken, Kabanda broke his back.
He did, but then he took care of Kabanda the second time around.
If Sanguinius gets the charge off, he might survive a round because he will have a re-rollable 4.
Yes.
If he does not get the charge off, that's it.
The big thing with Sanguinius is because of his speed, he has a good chance to get the charges, and that's what he wants, because this is a model that needs to pick his charge more. I mean, okay, he's near 500 points. For 500 points, you don't want to throw him at the wrong thing where he might struggle. So he wants to be choosing where he wants to fight. But when you can move 14, you can make the choice.
Pretty much.
Keep him far away from Thunderhammers.
Yes. Yeah. Anything that could kill a Primarch, especially if you don't get the charge, it's going to be bad news for him. Because stat-wise, he's a little bit worse than some of the other ones we've seen so far. He's a little bit more on the support character stat line for a Primarch. All right, Dan, you did you say you had a funny story or an anecdote?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about him, and then I'll talk about why he's awesome. How about that?
Okay, talk about the
But
Legion
that's
first
the
briefly.
anecdote. Yeah. So Iron
Legion
Hands, another
first.
S tier, one that we put in. Mostly, people are complaining that we were like putting them in S tier because of just one Rite of War, but really, no, they're just a strong Legion. They're just pretty strong with their grav weapons, their
People
Terminators.
weren't complaining. People were having a discussion.
They're true.
Yeah,
it's
not a
one.
complaint.
Oh no, it was a night.
Listen. The people. I hear you. I agree. They're upper A tier, not S.
Yeah.
So, Ferrus Manus. I hate the name. That's one thing I fucking hate.
You don't like
Iron Hand?
Yeah, it's just Iron Hand. It's so on the nose for GW. Movement 8, weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 6, strength and toughness 7. So he's a little higher than Sanguinius. 6 wounds, initiative 6, 6 attacks, leadership 10, 2 up save. He's got a lot of war gear. He's got a servo arm, a forge breaker, the hammer, the Medusan carapace, a plasma blast that's mastercrafted, a graviton shredder that's mastercrafted, a heavy flamer, and a grenade harness. He's got firing protocols 3, so he can actually fire 3 weapons. He's got battlesmith 2 up, which ironically I think because
it becomes a 1 up.
Yeah, does it 1 always fail?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, good.
It's a GW game. They always fail.
Okay, good. So I don't know why he's battlesmith 2 up, but whatever, because the servo arm adds to that.
I think they just forgot about the servo arm thing, honestly, because a lot of units is like, why?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, see,
and he's heavy.
Iron Hands. Oh, he is heavy. Yes, he is heavy.
Heavy.
Apologies.
No running.
No.
So, Sire of the Iron Hands. All models with both infantry unit type and the Iron Hand special rule in the same army gain the Feel No Pain 6-up special rule, but this does not stack with other versions of the same special rule, and models that already have a better version may use either choice. And vehicle unit types with Iron Hands also get It Will Not Die 5-up, and you get an additional assault reaction.
Thank God he does not buff Contemptors.
Stack. Also, thank God he doesn't stack. Hold on. Thank God he doesn't stack.
I wouldn't mind if he buffed the Immortals further, because Immortals are hella dope.
No, 6-up Feel No Pain. That's a 16%. It's either 17 or 16. I always
16.6 essentially. Okay. So 16 or 17, depending on how you want to round it.
16.6% increase in survivability, which is not bad. That's a pretty damn good thing. And It Will Not Die 5-up. Okay.
So 1 better than the vehicles would have naturally.
Yeah. I always fall back on whether it's a good rule or not. It's nice when I'll take Dave's anecdote actually on this. It's great, and you remember it when it happens. Don't bet on it. Is the nice way to put that.
Yeah.
All right.
The 5-up is okay. From a mathematical argument, of course, is twice as good as the 6-up, but the 5-up feels like you'll actually get it. The 6-up feels like, oh, hey, I happen to do that. A 5-up will make you feel like you actually have a chance at it. Not that you should ever bet on it, but you're gonna not necessarily be surprised that you get it from here. At times, where like the 6-up, you might get to the point where you forget to roll for it because you're only looking for a 6 and like, oh, my last game, it didn't even happen once, kind of thing. A 5-up, you're going to actually want to remember and roll for, and you will get. He has nothing but like blank space on these pages.
Well, there's a
All
reason.
those
So this is
weapons are
where,
generics.
yeah. So
Yes.
this is where it gets. I'm gonna laugh. So he's got 2 things, and that's literally it. He's got the Medusan Carapace. Well, first of all, he's got a ton of weapons. So he's got a heavy flamer, he's got a plasma blaster, he's got a graviton shredder for some haywire. The servo arm comes with shit too, doesn't it? Or
No,
am I
it's
thinking
the
array?
Machinator comes with shit.
Machinator
Oh, okay,
Servo arm is
okay.
just one
So he's
punch
got,
of strength 8.
yeah, so he could shoot a heavy flamer, he's got a plasma blaster, he's got a graviton shredder, he's got a bunch of good, but he's got a 2-up armor save and a 3-up invulnerable. So, okay, he's tanky.
Exceedingly so.
His weapon is strength 12, AP 1, master crafted, exoshock 3-up, brutal 3.
Hell yeah.
So the funny thing about him, and the irony that I was talking about before, is Ferrus Manus statistically is quite possibly the best Primarch killer out of all the Primarchs.
Except that one time.
Except that one time. That's what makes me laugh about him. Because he is a brutal 3, strength 12, AP 1. Strength.
He's got the strength 12.
No, don't.
That's what you said.
I did. Strength 12, brutal 3 is I don't even know. That's an Exoshock 3-up. Just screw it. I think that even kills, because Exoshock affects super heavies, I think.
Didn't you just say it didn't like one Primarch ago?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you literally just told us the opposite.
No. You're thinking Haywire.
I'm thinking all kinds of things.
Yeah. Check to see if Exoshock, because I think it just one-shots pretty much any vehicle in the game.
So,
for those who, I was going to explain what Exoshock is, though.
No, I'm not on it yet.
That's right. Oh, okay. I was going to say Exoshock real quick is just for those who don't know. If you penetrate the vehicle, you roll a dice, and if you beat the value, like for example, the 3-up that he has right there, you essentially do an automatic extra penetrating hit.
So that's extra. But here's the thing: we would need to look up the rules for what? Titanic? Because Exoshock doesn't say about it, but that makes sense. That's not where they would say
it'd be under Titanic, yeah.
Of course, you sending me the wrong spots here.
Oh, sorry.
Titanic is not in the main rulebook.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Of course. Why would I lie about it? There's nothing Titanic in the book. Maybe it's under unit.
No, super heavies. No,
it's a unit.
Oh, super heavy.
Yeah,
okay, that's a different thing.
Beast.
Super heavy. So I assumed the word was Titanic. Just super heavy.
I will check Mechanicum because I know that I had that up very close to where I was.
That's fine. So while we're both looking up things to make sure we're accurate on this, here is where I will say, to at least an extent, I don't necessarily agree that he's the auto Primarch killer. I think he can. Okay, the brutal 3 is great. He does have to hit some of these guys, and for the ones we've seen so far, he's the lowest weapon skill. He actually will struggle to hit some of them, especially say if it's Leman Russ, under the right conditions, he's only hitting them on 6s.
And that's only on the first turn. In Leman Russ, ones.
But okay, so it's on the first. I agree.
He will survive, and on the second turn, any hits he gets through are 3 wounds.
I agree. I'm just saying that to say he's hands down the best, it's because of the brutal 3 part. He still needs to connect and get to the people. Being Mastercraft is going to help, but healthy versus healthy, probably. I'd have to actually math it out to be sure. If they're not 100%, so in other words, if someone has an ability to take him down, say in that first round or anything like that, I do think some of the other ones could outperform him. It's not a guarantee, but I don't think it's an automatic. Oh, you put your Primarch against Ferrus Manus, good day, sir. You're done. I don't think that's going to be true. Or especially against someone who's a better initiative. Because that means, okay, I swung. I got a bunch of wounds on you. Your swing back, depending on my rules, might not kill me, or might have a reasonable chance because I have a better weapon skill than you. So it's going to be a little bit harder to get these hits through, and I'm hitting you much easier.
So
yeah, you're wounding nice, but they always tend to wound nice.
I absolutely.
And then the next round, if I'm going up for you again.
So I found God Engine. It only ignores the effects of Haywire and Disruption. That's it.
Okay.
And in Cyberthurgy. So I think he punts a warlord titan.
I agree with
Well,
that.
each hit's just
To an
one
extent.
hit. Brutal won't matter for
But it's
that.
Nope.
Exoshock 3.
Yeah, so he's gonna
So
swing 6 times and get. Say he hits all of them, right? And let's say even say he penetrates with all of them. He won't, but let's say he does. That'll be like
it's
four more
AP1.
hits. That's 10 hull points potentially.
But remember, that's any blows up on the warlord is D3 extra. And it's AP1. So if he rolls a 5 on the penetration, that's D3 extra wounds.
A warlord has 30 hull points, sir.
Yeah, he's not one-shotting it, but
Uh
he no.
okay, but it is he does hurt it.
No. Okay. He has 6 attacks. Okay, 7 on the charge. He has nothing that gives him a bonus, I don't believe.
No.
Okay.
Fun fact, Dan.
Hmm.
A warlord is weapon skill 9.
Is it stop that?
It is.
Oh my god.
That makes sense. It's big. It's not because it's easy to fight you off. It's because what the hell are you going to do to hurt the thing?
True.
At work, technically, if everything went perfect for him, got all of his wounds, and he could brutal things constantly. We're saying he can't. If everything works perfect, he's not doing that, and he's not going to get them all through because he's going to need 5s.
He might wreck a warhound. They're only
Yeah.
weapon skill 5. A reaver's weapon skill 8, and so is a warbringer. I need to spend more time looking at these titans. They're kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Steve all of a sudden comes to the next event with a shit ton of titans.
I
Listen,
foresee.
man, I have papercraft STLs from like 15, not STLs, papercraft files from like 15 years ago that I started working on Titans with. I'm like, I have nowhere to put these, but that's okay because I only need them for one day and I can set them on fire afterwards. It's a matter of paper. Watch out, Dan. 3 warlords is coming your way.
Before we do the full breakdown of Primarchs in the future, where we put them against one another, essentially, I'm going to do some math on this guy because I have a feeling. Don't get me wrong, he can kill, of course. Obviously, they all can kill, but I don't. I think that weapon skill might be a little bit bigger of a deal, but we shall see. But I'm going to do a little bit of actual math on that and all. Anything else for the Iron Man with the Iron Hands leading the Iron Hands?
From his ship, the Hand of Iron.
Exactly. Hey,
God,
he's a man who
kill me.
knows what he likes,
Kill me.
and he's all about it. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, we got 3 left.
I'm taking the middle one.
Yeah, so I guess that puts it to me, so that way Dan doesn't have to talk about 2 in a row, unless you really hate, Raven Guard, Dan. Do you hate
No,
them?
I'm fine with that. No. I'll take
Okay.
Corax. Oh, poor Corax. The fourth.
All right. Well, you can talk about how he's poor
Yeah.
then. All right, so we are on to we're going to the next spot then here. So we are on to the Ultramarines. Ultramarines in general, these were another one that we ranked rather well. Dan gives away what we said in the video. I don't. Go watch it if you want to know exactly what we said. These guys are exceptionally good. What they do fits them very well. The sorts of what they can build out has really good synergies. This is a spot where you can get a add initiative AP2 weapon, and they have, between this and the legacies, some really great units, as well as through the exemplaries. They have really great units. They're sort of that, at least when they get to 40K, sort of that, you know, army to look at in terms of, they can handle any situation. Here they have a good bit of that as well. So Roboute Guilliman, yeah, he's 465 points, so sort of a little bit on that higher end, but somewhat in the middle. Move 8, they're so far everyone's move 8. Weapon skill 7, so 101's on a little bit of the lower because a lot of the other ones so far we've read have been closer to the 8s. He is 6 across the board for everything else except his leadership being a 10 and his 2-up save. So again, he's a little bit lower in the stat line, similar to the way Ferrus was. He has no other special unit type than just being a unique Primarch. His work here, the Armor of Reason.
Nerd.
That's such a nerdy name. He has the Gladius and Candor in the Hand of the Dominion. Or sorry, Hand of Dominion. He has the Arbitrator, which, okay, that one I'll give him, because a weapon called the Arbitrator is kind of good. He has a Cognis Signum and frag grenades. What does the Cognis do? Because
So
that's a
he could
general
give up
worker, right?
his he could give up his own shooting to give his unit a +1 ballistic skill. It might have a
Okay.
range. I'm pretty sure it's just the unit you're in. I'll double check that though.
Okay. Which, I mean, for some of these Primarchs is pretty good, because if you wanted to do shooting, none of the Primarchs necessarily have like the main weapons you truly want to shoot with. I could see it with Sanguinius because you got popped the vehicle, but a lot of these other guys, you're not taking them for that. So he's of course an Ultramarine. He's a Master of a Legion. He also has a Adamantine Will 3 up. He has Preternatural Strategy, which we'll get to. Calculating Swordsman. He's of course a Loyalist, and he sires the Ultramarines. So if he's your Warlord, here's his trait. All models that are Ultramarines in the same army as him gain +1 to the leadership characteristic to a maximum of 10 up while he's on the battlefield and is not in reserve or removed as a casualty. In addition, at the start of the battle, before any models are deployed, an army with him must select one of the following phases: movement, shooting, or assault. For the duration, that with him as your warlord, as an additional reaction in that phase, so long as he's not been removed. His other things are going to kind of speak to what he does. It makes sense that the leader of the Ultramarine should be somewhat support. That kind of fits. That's a whole idea of the Codex Astartes that he writes and everything like that. +1 leadership is nice. Being able to choose where you get your reaction is very good. Not as fun as some of these other warlord traits, but
It's okay. It's gonna go deeper. It's gonna go a lot
yes,
deeper in just a second.
yes, that's the thing. They kind of gave him kind of the most meh of warlord traits because of what he's going to do later. All right, so preternatural strategy. At the start of each of the controlling players' in controlling players' turns, as the active player in which Roboute Guilliman is on the battlefield, including if he's embarked on a model that can be transported or a building. So essentially, he's there. The controlling player may select one of the following options, but may not select the same option twice in a row. However, each option may be selected more than once in a single battle, as long as they're not successive turns. So you're going to have a list of rules. You get to choose one, and you can't choose the same one back to back. You have to pick at least something else in the turn in between. The effects of the option are applied to all models in the army that are Ultramarines, including he himself, but not any models that are vehicles, until the start of the controlling player's next turn. So for your turn and your opponent's turn, so essentially a round, if you want to think of it that way. So it's chosen when you go, but essentially for a round, you and then them. You get to choose one of these rules. You could be Fleet 2, you could have Counterattack 1, you could have Furious Charge 1, or you could be Stubborn. You can decide when you're about to go what you're going to need either for your turn or potentially, very importantly, for your opponent's turn.
But not if your opponent goes first for that first go.
That is true.
That's
That is something
weird.
important to say. They don't let you choose before the game starts to be active, because it is not rounds. You have to go first,
That's so weird.
or
'Cause
you have to be going.
normally these kinds of things do have a or at the start of the battle. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really weird. So basically, this is like another layer on top of their right of war.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh god. And I have to go back to the right of war just to see all the things they do. So the
And
right of war, they just chose one of these each round, right?
yep,
Yeah.
and same deal. Can have it 2 rounds back to back. It's like extra movement and this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They can move more, but worse weapon skill. Better leadership, but can't move and run. And reroll fail to hit rolls, so holding fast. Better in close combat, but worse ballistic skill and easier to regroup. And then when you're going, you're also choosing this. So
and these are pretty much all combat based. Stubborn is kind of universal, but these are pretty much combat buffs, either defensive combat or offensive combat.
yeah.
I consider counterattack a defensive combat buff, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a defensive combat buff. Absolutely. Yeah. Furious Charge and the Fleet are your offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Counterattack is your defensive. And
Although fleet also
stubborn.
helps run moves, so if you feel like running for a turn, go
Yeah.
faster.
And especially with one of your other things that gives you +2 to your move. You can go
Jesus.
exceptionally far. It is for the Ultramarines player, it is sort of a shame that you have to go before this would apply, because what you would love potentially is first turn to have Stubborn active, because then you're not worried about some of the minuses that you're getting from leaderships and all those sorts of things, because that might be something too early. I mean, yeah, maybe you want Fleet, maybe you want one of the other ones, but that kind of feels like that would be a nice choice. Although, so
Speaking
hey,
of
go first.
penalties in the first turn, so
Yes,
the Cognitus Signum, I just looked it up, also
thank you.
grants night vision. So his unit will take no penalties for night fighting.
Okay, very good.
And his unit will also ignore shrouded rolls. Because you just need one model in the unit to have the rule for the unit to gain the benefit. And he could also give them +1 ballistic skill at the expense of his own shooting. So he's actually good to put in a ranged support unit, interestingly.
Yeah. No,
He's
I
an
I agree.
interesting lad.
Um, we'll go through the rest of his in a second, but I absolutely think he fits there well, or at least he fits well in that shooting unit. Say the first turn when other people are having troubles getting to you, and then next turn, okay, now he moves forward and gets into that nice assaulting unit, because he is good in close combat, but he can actually he has reasons not to be in a combat unit, at least maybe in the beginning. Um, so relating to his close combat stuff, he's a calculating swordsman. If he's in a challenge, he may reroll fail to hit rolls of 1 on the second and all subsequent rounds of the challenge. So nothing on the first. He's got to learn what you do first. Okay. He has his armor of reason, the nerd. 2 up armor for Bimvol. And his first invulnerable save that he fails in each separate phase of the battle may be
Oh,
rerolled. So
that's better than what's his face?
yeah, Lionel Johnson's
Yep.
was per turn. His is per phase, which is really, really good. His weapons, the Gladius and Candor and the Hand of Dominion. You have to choose which of these 2 weapons in any particular assault phase, and all of them are made from that profile. But in either case, he gets +1 attack for using 2 special weapons. So you don't get to mix and match. His Gladius is +1 strength, AP2, melee, shred, murder, strike on a 5-up, mastercrafted, and specialist weapon. His Hand of Dominion is strength 10, AP1. It is unwieldy, is the biggest thing here. So it's melee, unwieldy, brutal 2, mastercrafted, specialist weapon. So do you need to be strength 10? Okay, the AP1, don't get me wrong, the AP1 is nice, but okay, maybe if you're going against a vehicle, but talk about normal things. Brutal 2 is amazing. Can you wait to be unwieldy? Can you wait till the end?
I have concerns
Of
about
whether
that.
or not he can wait?
Yeah, because I'm just picturing like the units you would want to have brutal 2 and a strength 10 on versus just strength 7 and murderous strike. Is like Terminator squads because they have the good save and they have multiple wounds, so you want the guaranteed instant death. But Terminator squads that are willing to fight a Primarch are probably rocking Thunderhammers, and he cannot take too many Thunderhammers to his face.
No, he can't.
I mean, he'll have a retinue with him, but still, um, it's concerning.
Yeah, it is something you absolutely have to consider there. That is what makes it. Luckily, you don't have to decide before the battle, unlike one of those on some of the weapons we've seen. You can wait until that moment. But if you're going against something that is scary to you, you probably don't want to wait, because you're still AP2 and you got a 5-up a murder strike. You probably got to get some swings in and lower them. Because remember, if you're, say, either not a challenger, or if that part's not working out for you, you are going against majority. You might be weapon skill 7, but the rest of your unit's not going to be. So it's not going to help you as much. His
Okay.
last thing, going through it very briefly, is his bolt weapon. Range 18, strength 6, AP3. It's assault 2, rending 5-up, and mastercrafted. He doesn't care about giving that up to give a good shooting unit +1, which I think is probably what you do. It's a good weapon, especially good on save, like someone's charging you, but you are giving that up to give into your shooting unit if you're in a shooting unit.
I'm picturing this guy hiding out in a squad of the Terminators. The
Yeah,
Terminators that cause me rage.
the
You know
full
the one.
Mentaurus.
Yeah, full
Yeah.
Full
Montaris.
Mentaurus. Yeah.
No, he wants to be in a full Montaris unit because, especially with that, the Terminators, they can be walking up, he'll give up his shooting, they'll do better, and then when you get into combat, he's good. And you have them to support in case the unit there is a problem. So he's what you think Roboute Guilliman should be. He's pretty good at support. He's got a lot of good support elements, and he can still fight because he's a Primarch. But I think his support style stuff is probably the reason that you take him, not necessarily because of who he's going to go around murdering, or you really
Oh,
like the model because his model's kind of neat.
people are very polarized on his model. I like his Heresy model a lot more than his 40k model.
Oh, agreed. I don't like his 40k model.
But I hear so many people say the opposite. I'm just looking at it like, why?
He's
I guess because he's
he
not in a cool combat pose, but he's not a
he,
cool combat Primarch.
he has a regal statesman quality to him of late late Roman. I mean, if you get into it, not necessarily Roman Empire at that point, but not to going through those discussions with historians. But he has that look, and I really like that.
I literally perched up and I was like, do it
No,
now.
no. I've been in enough groups of listening to historical gamers and their sort of
Oh
thoughts. Like,
God.
but I like the look because you don't have to be in a fighting pose. We know you're going to fight people. I don't need you to have your X buried in a guy or cutting someone's head off to look like a cool model. You can look a cool model just by, having a very nice look. Now, part of it's helped in the picture because, the base is very well done and the things around him, the marble is beautiful. But I think there's something nice to be said about a model like that or that sort of
And
look.
in defense of the Forge World model, the 40k model's wrong. Not everyone knows this, but the 40k model is actually wearing a different suit of armor from the Heresy model. The 40k armor is a
Wait,
life support system that
Yes.
I think Call put together
Yes, he
for
did.
Gulliman after he woke up. So
Hmm.
Gulliman does not have the armor that the plastic model has for another 32,000 years. So if you use
That
that
is
model in
true.
the Heresy, not only are you wrong, but you're explicitly wrong.
Yep, his special armor made and told, don't ever step out of this because you're not going to survive that.
it's Iron Man.
Yeah,
That's
pretty much.
essentially, yeah, he's essentially Iron Man.
All right. Um, that gives us two more. And next up is Steve for Vulcan,
It's
Possibly
who
hammer
three.
luckily is
time.
short.
All right, so for 465 points, you get to field the Primarch of the Salamanders, the Promethean Flame, the Hammer of Salvation, and the Regent of Nocturne. Vulcan is going to be the slowest moving Primarch, which is a callback to the 3rd edition Battle for Armageddon book. He's going to have a movement of only 7, a weapon skill of only 7, a ballistic skill of 6, strength and toughness 7, 6 wounds. His initiative is only a 5. He's got 6 attacks at leadership 10 and a 2 up. He's a unique Primarch. He has the Draken Scale, Dawnbringer, the Furnace's Heart, just a basic old Dragon's Breath Heavy Flamer, and of course, some frag grenades. He is obviously a Salamander, Master of the Legion. He has It Will Not Die on a 4 up, which gives him a nice edge in prolonged combats. He is a Loyalist, and he gets a special Warlord trait called Sire of the Salamanders. And what that says is that all models that are both infantry and salamanders in the same army as Vulcan gain the Stubborn special rule. Kinda nice. Never hurts to have Stubborn. In addition, you get an extra reaction in the shooting phase. Not the best army buff I've seen from the
No,
set. It's nice, but it's not groundbreaking. I wouldn't build around this at all.
no,
But
you're not building
his
around the
his
stubborn.
stats so far looking okay, aside from the mediocre weapon skill.
And
Uh,
initiative. He's going
yeah,
after a Primarchs.
yeah. Honestly, he's just a Praetor that's on some really strong steroid regimens. Um, so what does that war gear do? The Draken Scale gives him a 2-up armor save and a 3-up invulnerable save. and he may reroll any failed armor saves, not invulns, but armor saves, for wounds inflicted by flame or volkite weapons. Would have been nice to get it on invulnerables against plasmas and meltas, but
It does.
I
Yeah, it
understand
doesn't do you that
why.
much.
I understand why it's specifically a 2-up armor save for those things, because the other things get past the 2-up. Although a 3-up reroll will be kind of silly. I understand why. I would like to feel no pain against those things instead. Then maybe like
Yeah.
feel no pain 4-up against the salamanders list. But I mean, I really can't complain too much. He has a 3-up invulnerable save on a Primarch stat line. Let's see. He's armed with Dawnbringer, which is the other famous Warhammer of Warhammer.
Hmm.
It's got Strength 10, AP 1. It's melee, master crafted, two-handed. It is armor-made melee, and it does in fact inflict instant death. So even though he's not as strong as Ferrus Manus in a straight-up fight, the hammer is straight up better at anything that's even a little bit fleshy. Armigers, dead. Contemptor Dreadnoughts, also dead. I mean, D3 wounds at a time, but with 6 attacks, yeah, he's gonna wreck a Contemptor in a single round of combat, no questions. Thank God this thing's not unwieldy, because I honestly would not have been shocked if they made it unwieldy, just to spite us. All right, and then his ranged weapon, the Furnace's Heart. It is a gift from Ferrus Manus. It is an energy weapon of unspecified nature. All right, it's got range 18, strength 7, AP 2. It's a pistol with lance, shock pulse, and burst D6, which means that if it inflicts a hit, it actually inflicts D6 hits. So it's a 40k frag grenade. Almost. No. But backwards. It's its own thing. How about that? This is a gun that I would be happy to shoot.
Yeah, this is one of the few I would actually use. There hasn't
Um,
been many.
that's actually not bad at all. It's a shame that Dawnbringer is two-handed, even though Vulkan wields it in one hand in every piece of artwork, including on the model. But I guess they didn't want to give the pistol he has he didn't give him an extra attack, I guess. But then just make it assault instead of pistol. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't think it would
It's a
have
weird choice.
made it bad if they had given him one extra attack. I don't think
I
that
don't
would
think
have
so
put
either.
him like
Or
out of the
like
stratosphere or anything.
knock his profile down by one. Just don't make the hammer two-handed when he clearly uses it one-handed all the time. Although I have to say, I'm so glad that Dawnbringer is not like its twin, which is only strength +2 and AP not great. You know the one from the PDFs.
Yeah.
So my take on this is Vulcan does a lot better than his sons in terms of rules for characters. First of all, he has them. Second of all, they're usable. No, I take him. He's a beat stick through and through. But that's okay. You're allowed to be a beat stick.
Yeah, he's not he's helping the army because he's going to go in and kill something. He's not stubborn is nice. And no one's going to argue that stubborn's not nice. But a lot of these other Primarchs did more for their army. He helps you because he's going to go wade into something and is going to knock it down. And he actually has a good shooting weapon. This is a weapon you actually would shoot. So putting him with a unit that you're going in with that also is willing to shoot, all the better. Because it's one of the few. A lot of these we've seen have also been AP3. So, the unit you might want to go at, Terminators and things like that, especially since you're instant death, you probably want to go at Terminator style units, you're AP2, so you can actually hurt them on the way in. Or hurt them if they try to charge you.
I
He
like him.
feels simple.
Yes. No, I like him. They very much took cues from the third edition War for Armageddon with the lowered initiative and such for salamanders, which I
Yeah.
get it. I totally get it. That's part of what made them what they were. It's a high gravity world that they were all, hailing from. So they have denser muscle mass, but slower reactions and stuff. I think fluff wise, they nailed them pretty damn well. Just missing a
Yeah.
special rule that makes him want to that wants him make to give give his brother some hugs and tell him it's okay.
Yeah, he needs the rule of just being a nice guy.
I mean, I think the ally chart covers that pretty well, though.
They do. Yes, actually, they do. everyone is friendly with them. Good, bad, otherwise, it's all good. You need help? Yeah, we'll show up.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah, last but not least, really.
Yep. Corvus
So the
Corvus.
Raven Guard. Again, very kind of sneakies. Their big thing was, or at least what we found out was, Mordathan can absolutely be used and abused. But they have a lot of infiltrating units, a lot of scouting units, and they also have Steven's worst nightmare of a written, what is it, unit entry, could you call it? Or
Um,
like
Legion
army
trait.
rule? Legion
The
trait? Yeah,
worst way you could ever write a Legion trait.
yeah.
Dark Angels did it so much better.
Yeah, they
Depending
did.
on what you are, you get certain things. I'm not going to go over each one, obviously.
No.
That's essentially what it boils down to. That's essentially what it boils. All right, so Corvus Corax is 440 points, which is low.
Middle. It's the
It's so
middle.
hard to.
It's like
Sort of the
lower
overall
mid.
average has been about
Yeah.
465.
Yeah, I was going to say
That
that's why I'm
seems to be
thinking.
about the normal point.
Okay, so he's normal. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah,
Fine
he's
with that
normal.
one? Okay. We'll go with normal. So he is normal. We're looking at movement 8, which is surprising, actually, because you would think he'd be a little faster. Anyway, weapon skill 7.
He will be.
Yeah, well, he's got a jump back, so technically, yeah.
Yes.
Weapon skill 7, plus skill 6, strength 6, toughness 6, wound 6, initiative 7, so he's a little quicker. 7 attacks, he's got a little bit more attacks. Leadership 8 and 2 plus save.
Leadership 10.
Leadership 10, what I say.
You
Sorry.
said 8.
You said
Oh,
8.
sorry. Oh my god. Leadership 10, 2 plus save. He's unique. He's a skirmisher. He's got a couple of war gears. They're all, frag grenades, and then everything else is essentially Baroque. You got the Sable Armor, Panoply, Corvidine Pinions, Wrath and Justice, and the Legion rules. So this is where he gets hit and run natively. Nice. Very nice. He gets Deep Strike natively. Also very nice. He has the Shadow Lord and Sire of the Raven Guard. So, Sire of the Raven Guard. Any models, the Legion Astartes Raven Guard special rule in either the infantry or cavalry unit types in the same army gain Scout and Crusader special rules.
That's big.
And they get an additional reaction in the movement phase. Yeah, that's massive. Holy shit. Yeah, that's great.
He's one of the better buffs.
Yeah. Scout Terminators. That's I
remember that goes very well with your essentially, so their special thing is Shadow and Fury. You're a type of bird. Some of them it works exceedingly well with because you're closer, and some of them
it helps. It helps ones that struggle.
Yeah, because I remember when we were going through it, that was part of our talk. Is like, oh, things that fit Falcon. Oh man, we wish they could get closer. Some of the parts that they want. Hey, you get closer now.
Yeah, oh, it's really nice. That's a very nice one.
Oh, want to see a Primarch rule that does not work?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Oh, I was just gonna mention it. The reason
I stole your thunder.
Oh, okay. Do it, Steve. Go ahead.
No. We already did. Go ahead. You can talk about the rule, but we've already prefaced that's the thing.
So, he technically also has Shrouded, because the Sable Armor provides 2+ armor save, 4+ invulnerable save, and a 4+ Shrouded rule. Except, according to GW, thank you GW for this, Primarch mortals are fearless, as per their special unit type. However, this also means that fearless units cannot get shrouded.
Yeah.
So, what?
Don't worry, they will FAQ that just Corax loses fearless. Watch, it's going to happen.
Or a cleaner way. In the Primarch thing, add a line. Primarchs are allowed to be shrouded. There you go.
Yeah.
Because isn't there someone else who has it?
Maybe one of the traders does.
Yeah, maybe one of the traders. I thought someone else did.
Probably Night Lords.
I could see Alpha Legion with it.
Or Alpha Legion, yeah.
I thought there was like at least one other, but I don't recall for sure, but I think there is someone. All right. Okay. So he doesn't get some of his actual rules.
He doesn't get actually his rules, which is a little harsh. All right, so the Shadow Lord. If Jesus Christ. If Corvus Corax chooses to use the hit and run special rule, the controlling player rolls an additional die when determining the distance moved and discards any die that the player's choice be determined before the determining final result. In addition, the controlling player may reroll failed shrouded rolls of 1 made for Corvus Corax. Oh, that hurts so much.
Oh,
and all models in any unit he has joined after using hit and run ruled to remove Corvus Grass from engaging combat. This effect continues until the start of the controlling player's next turn.
Oh no, no.
Also, Dan, just so you know, Corvax is exactly how I wrote it originally in my notes, which is what you just said there. Just
Okay,
because I
good.
was like, I
Yeah,
just combined the two and didn't think about it till later.
yes, no, I done that already so many
Yeah.
times. Yeah. Yeah. So again, listen. Let's be honest. He's a goddamn Primarch. Just give him the goddamn cover save, like, or the shrouded save. It's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. If someone goes to him and be like, "Well, Primarchs can't be," it's a fucking.
No
It's
one's
Primarch.
okay. Stop. No
This
one's
is
going to do
why.
that.
This is why
No one
I
does that.
advocate for hardback books, physical ownership of books, and not ebooks, because then you could beat your opponent into submission with them. I'm not hitting you with my tablet. My tablet might break, but your face will break before my rulebook does.
Yeah. And the tough part is because the second part of that rule in no way works, because if he's fearless, it's not like the other ones can take it.
Nope.
So, no one gets that. But hey, you get an extra die. You get half of your rule, and 2/3 of your armor.
And 2/3 of your armor. Yeah. Play it as if GW doesn't know what the hell they're doing, which is pretty much what we do most of the time. All right. The Panoply of the Raven Lord. And this is his weapon. So it's a single weapon, even though it's a dual. I believe it's a dual claw on the model. It is okay. Good. Yeah, so it counts as a single weapon, but it is a dual claw. Essentially, it is a range melee, obviously strength user. So strength 6, yes, AP2, melee, shred, blind, two-handed, fighting style. So it's got my
And
favorite
that's
rule.
why it's on both of his hands. It's two-handed.
Yeah, exactly. But it's got blind, which is great. It's got shred because it's essentially a lightning claw. So let's talk about fighting styles, because this is actually what really makes him kind of cool, actually, in my opinion. At the beginning of each assault phase, Corvus Corax's controlling player may choose one of the following special rules to apply to his attacks, based upon the weapon and fighting style he's employed. So you could do Murderous Strike 4-up, Rage 4, or Sudden Strike 3. Okay.
So you could either be 11 attacks. Sorry, 12. No, 11 attacks.
11 attacks.
Or initiative 10 on the charge.
Or, if you're not going against another Primarch, just Murderous Strike 4-up.
See, that I would use as a subsequent round. I would go with Shock and Awe.
Yeah.
Kill as many as possible at that decent initiative.
Is it bad that I'm chuckling to myself that Custodes have a very similar weapon? Murderous Strike 4 is so dumb. I hate GW sometimes. All right, but it's a good weapon. It's a very, very good weapon. And it's customizable, which is always good. Wrath and Justice. These are two separate weapons, both counted as auto and Volkite. How does he wield this if he has lightning claws?
The lightning claws are wrist mounted, and these pistols are in his hand.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So this is range 12, strength 6, AP 4, pistol 1, I guess each. Wait, but does he have battles?
He has
Can you
2.
shoot multiple? Can you shoot multiple pistols?
Yes.
Okay.
If you have
okay,
pistols,
good.
you can shoot them. Yes.
Got him. Okay. So pistol 1, rending 3-up, deflagrate, mastercrafted.
You're not going to use it. Don't matter.
Yes, you are. Rending 3-up is good.
Rending 3-up with deflagrate, and you can pick and choose who you shoot at. That one, this is one of the ones.
Rending 3-up means you're always wounding on a 3-up.
Yes.
At
and
AP2.
You're always at AP2, and it's deflagrate.
So although, you use this guy, and you ping 3 or 4 wounds off a Dreadnought.
Or you pick out, if you're charging...
Deflagrate will not get to pick out, I don't think.
No, but the original shot...
The original shot will.
Yeah, the original shot can pick out something really nice.
Deflagrate won't. I don't know. I'm not... Okay, yeah. You're getting the wounds through. I'm just not sold on some of theirs. I guess it's useful because it's being close, and he's going to want to be close, because he probably wants to be charging. I guess it just kind of depends on the unit put him in. And again, it's that idea of, does that unit want to be shooting? Because if that unit doesn't want to necessarily be shooting, then it might be a detriment if I actually shoot him.
True. And you most likely want him with the Raven Claws, or whatever the hell they're called, with the 5-up shred, 5-up rending lightning claws.
You know what surprises me? Corax does not have a
Dark
rule that
Furies.
lets him join bitter duty units,
No, he doesn't.
but it's his legion that created the destroyers, and not destroyers, but the other ones, the Moratats. And
Hmm.
maybe destroyers, but I know for sure his legion is where the Moratats started. You'd think he
Interesting.
could join them, because that is a unit that, like him, can fly around with jump packs and
Yeah.
shoot a bunch of pistols at things. Maybe it's not a good combo, but like it's a combo. But
Interesting.
he can't. But you can't do it. You
All
can't do
right,
it.
this goddamn thing.
Okay. No, it's
Yes,
very
this is.
simple. What we said before about Sanguinius, same thing.
Is it the same rules on the
It's
bottom
the
too?
same thing.
All right, perfect. It's a jump pack with special rules.
Well, the special rule is it's a 14-inch, and you're allowed to run with it. That's the special thing. Otherwise, it's just a normal jump pack, essentially.
Yo, it's a little bit faster.
Yeah, you're a little faster, and you're allowed to run because normally in jump pack you're not. So what do we think of him? What do you think of this dark
He's
boy?
not as killy as okay. So he's not going to maybe kill the other Primarchs, but he absolutely will shred through pretty much anything else you have. Like the rest of the army is dying, in my
He,
opinion.
and that's probably what he wants to do. Like you said, he's not the weapon skill to be the Primarch killer because he's 7. Some other Primarchs are 8. So yeah, and his rules, Rage 4, all that stuff, Sunstrike. Yeah, Sunstrike he might not need there. He needs that if he's going against someone big because his initiative is good enough. But yeah, he wants to go and hurt everything else. And again, he has the same idea as Sanguinius in my mind because he has the jump pack, because he is so fast. He can choose what he engages with. His weapon's not bad, but when we think of like you Dan mentioned the unit might want to put him with, um, the one you're talking about was the Dark Furies.
Dark Freeze, that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah, Dark Furies don't have a weapon, don't have a shooting attack,
exactly. Okay,
which
yeah,
means if I shoot, and again, I'm not saying his weapon is bad, but I'm saying where I probably want him, I'm probably not doing a lot of other shots, and I don't want my assault units getting shot back unless I think I'm going to do something really good. Now, if that unit has, an apothecary in it, if they have something that I'm worried about, I will fire in. But if it's just a bunch of guys I want to go in and slaughter, I'm not going to shoot because I probably don't want to get shot twice. My Dark Furies are going to start getting taken off the board. All right. That gets us through all of these Primarchs. There was 9 for this episode. There'll be 9 for the next one. Is there any closing thoughts currently on this first half? Owing, of course, to the fact that
if we have
Primarchs are
time,
good.
hold on, pause. If we have time, we can quickly go over Valdor because he really doesn't do anything new.
We
I
do
I
have 2 Horus profiles to cover, so it kind of evens it out. But we also have the wolves, so I don't know.
I so
It's
here's
up
my
to you
thought as to
guys.
why I think we should wait on him. The reason I think we should wait is because talking about him without being able to discuss the rest of their army kind of
True,
makes it weird.
you're
At
missing
least for all
context.
these, we've talked through the other armies. So we there's an informed opinion on both our
Okay,
part and the listeners' parts on that. I think Valdor, I think it's fine waiting until we get to the point of going through custodes.
got it.
So, beyond that, though, any thoughts overall on these 9 loyal men?
They're Primarchs. They hit hard, support hard. They look good. I mean, there are very few ones that I don't like. Ironically, I just do not like the original Horus model. I think the new one coming out looks amazing. I just don't like the original Horus model. But honestly, like they're good. They're great. They do what
What
they do.
what I found because I was starting to look through Tier Maker for like, oh, am I gonna have to make a Primarch, essentially Tier Maker, or does someone already make it? So I look it up. I found one that I think works well because you can tell which the models are because it's like the faces with names, cool. But there are multiple that are like best looking model, which ones actually are good, and other people thought the same, that they like some of these Primarch models and other ones they absolutely think look bad. So that'd be interesting. There's a few of them that I think are bad. From the loyalists, I don't know. I haven't looked at some of them at that. Loyalists, I can't think of any off the top of my head that I think are bad. In the look.
It's really the traitor ones that kind of kill me. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's actually on. Games Workshop site now. That'll be faster to look it up. No. Steve, any thoughts overall to this first half?
I have a salty thing about Dorn. He should only be weapon skill 7. But I mean that's the only thing that's stuck in my mind right now. No way is he weapon skill 8.
Do you know is Perturabo 8?
It doesn't matter what he is, just as long as Dorn isn't.
I don't care
Perturabo
if you
is-
win. I just want him to lose.
Did you know that Perturabo
That is the most Iron Warriors thing anyone could say. You know that, right?
Yeah, Perturabo's weapon skill 6. No, I'm kidding. He's not
No,
weapon skill
he's
6.
No one believed you. Just so you know, we didn't believe you. No, I take it back. I'm not
close to Vulkan stat wise.
I take it back. I'm not a fan of Sanguinius.
Oh, I don't like Sanguinius. I do remember Sanguinius.
How's he on that rock? Is he sitting on it?
So
it looks like
he's supposed to be like power sliding down the rock while he stabs the blade into a demon. But you're missing half the context because that was an event exclusive extended diorama base.
Okay, what the hell holds him to this base? What's he actually connected on? No, no, his foot's not even touching. I'm on the rotating image right now. His foot's not even touching that shit.
Maybe it's like a ribbon. Like I don't like the model, and the rules are falling so short of my dreams.
The only thing that I see that looks like it's connected is his scabbard. It looks like his scabbard is connected to a falling pillar. Is that what it is? Please tell me it's more. Okay, I would never do that then. Yeah. I think it's a scabbard and like a leopard cloak or something like that. Or at least they painted it in that sort of style. That looks to be about the only connection points. That boy is going to fall off and snap into 100 pieces. If anyone plays them and has done a, I'm going to put it this way, a nice sort of base in the way they put that together, I'd be very interested to see that. Maybe now that we actually have the Facebook up and running, which for anyone listening, we do actually have it up and running. Dan has now put that together. When we put the post about this episode, if you have a Sanguinius and you like the way you painted them, put them up there. Because I'm curious. Also, I want to know, is there more connection points? It doesn't look like that in the picture. So Dan's tapping away at something. Someone's tapping away at something. And now they stopped because it caught him.
Yeah, and no one will know who it is.
I can tell, actually. I can see that it's you because I can see the
oh no,
the waveform. I can see all of it. The question's going to be, will anyone else hear it? Because am I going to remove it from the episode or not? And that depends on whether I notice.
There's actually another
when I do
option
my editing.
or 3 available to a Knight household army.
That's funny.
Corax is on with 1 foot.
HQ model
He's the one
for
with
Dark
1 foot.
Mechanicum,
I don't like Corax either.
Drake of Act.
Yeah, I'm looking at him
actually
now.
has a
Now I'm looking
special
at these.
rule
I don't like his
called
face.
High Techno Arcana.
I don't like the jumping ones. It feels like the ones that are like action pose.
Something.
Are really hit and miss.
That definitely
I
can't
I
be
like
it.
the more style.
Yeah, it's
something mechanicum
like
and weird.
Vulkan's model.
yeah, something that
Right.
is
Bravos,
not
I
my
wish
native
had a
language.
less ridiculous face.
So,
The others I've looked into because
basically,
I'm
you
not
take
really
it as a
Primarch
troop's
person.
choice
Like,
in a Questoris
if I ever
household.
own a Primarch,
Interestingly,
it's gonna be
because there's
purely
HQ slots
because
there,
I
kinda
wanted
makes
to run the
sense.
model, and never because I wanted.
And
to
if you
play
do that, you can take
I
casting
think
that
that
the heresy is such a
Battle
big thing.
Automata
Why should
Maniples
my
and Vorax
Vorax
ever be the
Battle
one
Automata
directed
Maniples
as
I
like
playing
the
like the forgotten legionaries in that
the
larger
larger
battle. So you'd
whatever
end up
reason.
getting this guy.
No, I agree.
and
So,
It's one of the reasons why I haven't used
Armiger
Valdor.
as your 2
I
compulsion
still haven't used
troops.
Valdor
You
even in
fill out the rest
1.0,
with
and I've played Custodians longer than Mechanicum.
Castellax and
I
Vorax,
still haven't used them.
which are
Just 'cause
cheaper
I
than
like using my own characters.
Armigers.
Longer
So if you
than
wanted to
your
like
race
just
cars.
get as many
I
big
hate
knights
you
out,
so
you
much
might be able
right
to
now.
squeeze
Why are you the way
1
that you
or
are?
2 more in if you go
Because
Yeah,
it's
damn it.
enjoyable to me.
Vorax maniples.
I know one day I'm gonna have like a
You're saving
photo
about
album
100
where I'm gonna
and
find these
30
35 credits. I do have the one picture,
135
though, which did make me happy.
ish.
But
per
oh
dude.
my god, I don't know how I got
that
Which
picture
it adds
proves
up.
nothing.
You know, you
I took a
That
picture that's
switch
equally
out
valid
3
proof.
armigers for
No,
those
no,
guys,
Brett
and you could
remembers
definitely
it.
get another knight.
Literally from that picture.
So yeah,
I don't know, man. Brett is
we're not
on
gonna get into all
record
units
on
and everything,
YouTube
but that
saying
is
that army
another
never
way
existed.
you can.
He did actually
run
say
a
that.
Did he?
There
Stop
is a
that.
physical record of that. And in
No,
the
he did
future,
not say
we
that.
will be
Stop
going
it.
through
No,
more
he
with
did. If you
Mechanicum
actually
in
go through the
general,
comments,
I
I
don't
will be
remember which
covering
video
those
it's on,
units
but he
and what
actually
all that
did.
means at
I
a
think
later
pretty sure
date.
there's a comment about that he put up.
I'm gonna kill him.
If you actually go and take a
I'm
look.
gonna kill him.
All right. Either way, though, I think that does it for us tonight on these Primarchs. Very soon we will get the other half. All right, and that'll do it for us tonight. As for the next episode, that's either going to be related to the Knight households from the Imperial Knights, related to the Mechanicus book, or it'll be the other half of the Primarchs. A lot of it honestly boils down to Dan's availability to record. We have the Knights one ready to go, but I kind of want to wait on that if possible for when we're discussing some of the Mechanicus stuff, which is currently not necessarily on the back burner, but it's being delayed a little bit, especially now that we have the Imperium book hopefully dropping into our hands very, very soon. We'd like to be able to talk about that predominantly just because it's what people currently see. Well, as always, I do want to thank anyone and everyone who does listen. Remember, we have this on any podcatcher where you can find it. We also put this out on YouTube. YouTube does have some exclusive content. Currently, it's really just the Rights of War, but there'll be some other things, especially as we record some videos and all, as we, my schedule starts to ease up a bit and we can start trying to get back into that and figuring out how to make it work. Trying in the past, it didn't really work that well, so I have some hopefully good ideas for the future. As of the recording of this particular episode, we also do have our Facebook page out. I will have it marked below on the YouTube for anyone. So what we like about that is when once we can post up about episodes, we can post up news and all. There's been times when something has happened that I've wanted to talk about it, but if you don't have enough subscribers on YouTube, you can't put out a message. And podcatchers don't let you put out messages unless it's a short episode as well. So it's going to let us be able to have that good connection. We are working on the Discord. I'm actively working on that. It's not quite ready yet because there's some more stuff I got to put in, but each day I try to put some extra time in just to try to get it to that point. So that way, if anyone wants to communicate or just have a hopefully fun spot to hang out, we're going to have that. As always, though, if you are enjoying our content, we just ask that you either like, subscribe, or leave reviews, all those sorts of standard things. All of it really helps out, especially as we hope to be able to keep increasing the types of content that we do. All right, well, on behalf of everyone here at the show, have some good hobbying and some great gaming.